Welcome. It's 5:30 on Tuesday, October 21 of 2025. We're here at the regular meeting of the Village of Gates Mill Council meeting. May I have a roll call, please, Beth?
Gaton.
Here.
Broom.
Here.
Deacon.
Present.
Onesco.
Here.
Press.
Here.
Steinbrink.
Here.
Turner.
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you all for attending and preparing for the meeting with the materials that you received in advance. The item on the agenda, which comes next, is the oath of office to firefighter Cameron Williams. I think many of you know that over the last couple of years, we have put forth a fair amount of effort on safety, including both police and fire and EMS. We're pleased that Cameron has chosen to get sworn in and to help us on the firefighting side. I believe this is the 6th firefighter that we've added in the last year and a half or 2 years, including several that were cadets. So it certainly is nice to see in this age where volunteerism sometimes disappears, or as people are asking, what's in it for me, or why should I do it, to still have on-call firefighters who are going to spend their time and put themselves at risk for the benefit of the rest of us. So with that, I'd ask Cameron and his son Sam to join me up front, and Chief Tom Majeski as well, and we'll give Cameron the oath. Tom? Cameron, repeat after me, please. I, Cameron Williams,
I, Cameron Williams,
do hereby swear that I will support
do hereby swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
so you get a picture, and the charter and ordinances of the Village of Gates Mills,
and the charters and ordinances of the Village of Gates Mills,
and that I will honestly, faithfully, and impartially
that I will honestly, faithfully, and impartially
discharge my duties as firefighter,
discharge my duties as firefighter,
to which I have been appointed according to law,
to which I have been appointed according to law,
and to the best of my ability,
and to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Thank you. He didn't draw blood, so we're good. I do want to thank the other members of our fire department who are here today to support their comrades. So thank you all for coming, gentlemen. And well, the Cameron's family who came here to support him. We really are looking forward to his participation. Glad that he's on a team. Okay, just as a bit of a explanation for tonight, we are here to discuss council business. We're not here to discuss candidate business. Candidates were discussed at a forum that was sponsored in the village several weeks ago. We're here to do the business of council and the business of the village, and that's on the agenda. So while several of you have written me and phoned, some stopped in, and some are here tonight. Others, I can feel the presence. We're going to focus tonight on the business of the village. If at the end of the session there is time, we'll allow the audience to make comments for a minute or two, hopefully with respect to the village business. I've also expect the same kind of a decorum during the session as we go through the items. We have at least 3 things tonight that are larger items. One is a firefighter truck. We have the discussion on the fire engine and on the need to go out and begin to advertise for bids for that. I'm expecting that'll take 15 or 20 minutes of discussion among council. Second item we have is third reading on the sidewalk that connects the village center to the Gates Mills Lower School parking lot. We also have some information that responds to that and to questions that were raised at the last meeting. And then the third item is we have a review of our 25 road program and plans for what that will be for 2026. Each of those items individually will be 20 to 30 minutes as best as I can gauge. I really haven't never put time limits on things, but since the candidates forum, we had several candidates describe a 3-hour meeting as too long, and they wanted to see if we could cut it down. So I've tasked myself to see whether I can put some time boxes around it. But we'll do what's needed to cover the matters, make sure people are heard. With that, the next item on the agenda, item number 3, is the minutes of the regular council meeting of September 16, 2025. Beth or Janet, any comments that came from council members, or are there any comments at this point?
I did not receive any.
No.
Move to approve. Move to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second, please? Thank you, Scott.
Gaton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Onesco,
Yes.
Press,
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner. Yes.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the conclusion of facts and final decision for 640 Chagrin River Road. I'm going to ask Todd to spend a minute or two and give a little background on what this is. And then each of you receive this in your packet or maybe email on Sunday or Monday. Todd?
Yes, this was a administrative appeal, the final decision of the architecture court review, which was a decision to demolish the structure at 640. At 640,
Thank you.
Chagrin River Road. That appeal is to the village council. There were several hearings held on this matter and determined that the structure could be saved and would be completed. The renovations on the exterior would be completed under certain guidelines. That's reflected in the facts that have been set forth in this document that you've all received. I believe you got this Friday evening. The final decision, which I took directly from both the minutes and the video of that meeting. And the purpose of this is that this will document the final decision of the council so that there's a good record of it, and going forward that the chief building official of the village can enforce it if necessary. And so they should be approved by the council as a whole by motion.
May I have a motion to approve the conclusions of fact and final decision?
So I'll move. I want to make a comment.
Okay, can I get a second first?
Second.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you. Comments, Scott?
I think everyone should know that everybody at this table, that table, this table, this table, John accepted, he wasn't on the council yet. Everyone did a really nice job on this. There was good input by everybody, and it's a harder situation than you might have thought to remedy, and I think it's worked out pretty well. And so I'm happy to move that we approve these.
Any other comments? Okay, absent that, roll call, please.
Gaton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Onesco,
Yes.
Press,
Yep.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner. Yes.
Thank you. Next item is item number 5, pay ordinance number 1302 in the amount of $1,413,498.79. May I have a motion to approve the ordinance?
So moved.
Thank you. Lori, second, please.
Second.
Thank you, David. Are there any questions on items on the pay ordinance?
I have one. Wickard Insurance Services?
Yep. Janet?
That,
A payment or, oh, I think we added a vehicle.
Yeah.
Let me see which one is it, Scott?
it's on page 5, It's the 107,729.
It's from January.
That was just showing there was a negative adjustment of $283. So that payment had already cleared back in January,
Okay.
but we got a rebate back because, we traded in a vehicle. So I just credited it back to that.
Okay, perfect.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Eton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon. Yes. Janesko.
Yes.
Price. Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner. Yes.
Okay, item number 6, pay ordinance, or mayor's report. I had 4 items listed on there. Senior services was item A. We have completed as of the end of September, the survey of residents. I'm glad that we waited the additional 2 weeks. We had done a preliminary report in mid-September. We received another 30 responses, so we're close to 150-ish responses. Those as of September 30th. And so we're going to tabulate based on that. Jean has taken all the additional data, including the narrative comments that have come in. She's going to type those up and get them out to us. She gave me a draft today around 3 o'clock. I didn't think it was at this point something you'd want to see because I hadn't seen it yet and don't have any conclusions on it. But she says that generally the comments that we had earlier are going to probably carry through to the larger number to the larger report with larger numbers. Also have been in contact with Wendy from Community Partnership on Aging with regard to a possible contract. And so I'm hoping to pull those things together over the next 2 weeks and get my committee back together with the recommendation that we would bring to council in November. Item 2 is the sidewalk project. We'll cover that in a few minutes. Item 3, 6C item, Encore at Burton Court. As you know, this is the completion essentially of the second year of the Encore Gates Mills Association. We have a 3-year understanding that'll start now going forward to wrap up 2025 and to launch 2026. The village and Encore co-hosted a presentation at the Burton Court facility about 2 weeks ago. It was a lovely Sunday afternoon. We had about 50 invited guests. We had Jinju in town, who's the artistic director, playing, as well as 4 of her protege students coming from Juilliard and Yale and some other very fine institutions. There were some cocktails and hors d'oeuvres, fundraiser and friendraiser, and I think on that evening we raised probably between $15,000 and $20,000. There was also a reveal of their theme for this coming year, which is home, and the music that they will bring and the ideas that they will bring coming forward with us into the 3rd year will be based on that theme. The next item on the mayor's report, item 6D, is the Heritage Home Program. Sandra Turner is going to make some comments on that. And if there's anything that Chuck Spears wants to add, he'll do that as well. Sandra?
Thank you, Mayor. The Heritage Home Program, which is a program of the Restoration Society, has been available to the village by contract for probably about 10 or 12 years at this point. It's available, as you know, to residents in homes that are 50 years and older for consultation about renovation. And they've also had low interest loans available at one point from First Federal and from KeyBank. The mayor and Chuck were informed just the other day that the 2% loan rate that's been available is going to be discontinued after the end of the year. So it's really important that residents who have projects and would like to apply do so before December 31st. They're hoping to find a replacement for the KeyBank low interest loan of 2%, but they may or may not be able to do that. So So there will be a letter coming from the mayor to all residents informing them of this and inviting them to participate in a presentation by Heritage Home on November 12th at 7 p.m. So the mayor will be there, Chuck Spear, and homeowners who have participated in the program, for example, Dennis Lizat and Joe and Megan Perez will be there to answer questions about the process and how it worked for them. So, you know, this is a very tight deadline. We're obviously disappointed to hear, you know, to get this information, but there still is time for those who are interested. We need to get the word out, so if you'd please communicate it. There'll be information in the pink sheet and in the Gates Mills connection. So thank you.
Sandra,
Chuck, anything to add?
Sandra, I think is the first federal rate is,
First Federal, there, I don't,
it's 4%, right?
you know, I don't believe they're doing business with First Federal
Or
anymore.
I
was
think
it
it's
third?
Third Federal.
Or, I'm sorry, Third Federal. I think it's only Key Bank. Do you know, Chuck?
I think it's a means test.
Okay.
So that not as much utilized here.
It's Key Bank, it's Key Bank. Okay, so we'll have them clarify that, what the difference is.
So the village has participated in the last several years in the program. We pay dues, if you will, to the Cleveland Restoration Society who runs this program. That makes it available to us. Again, the homes need to be 50 years old. They can be up to $750,000 of value. So this does not need to be a small home. It could be additions and renovations. It could be free consultation, and it can be a low-interest loan. The applications have to be in by 12/31. The judgment and the funding and the actual work can happen later, but the application process needs to be in.
Well, and there's not a means test, meaning income restrictions as to who might be eligible for the program. So that's important too.
Chuck has agreed to kind of watch over this for us and to participate to a degree in helping people if they need help with understanding the process, making a few phone calls, helping fill out the applications, what have you. Okay? And that was November 12th?
7 o'clock.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, next item is the financial report. The numbers are in the packages that you received. We continue to run a good surplus. We've been fortunate this year to the tune of about $250,000 to receive payments that we made last year that were reimbursements this year. So while the surplus is nice, it's also a little out of period, if you will, because we spent those dollars last year, particularly $120,000 for the old mill road problems that were closed for about 2 weeks. We've also been able to accelerate the reimbursement from the county for the share of materials from the county road program. And I think there was a small other amount from, who was that? Was that NOPEC, Janet?
I'm not sure which one.
The 20-some thousand dollar one,
Cleveland Water,
even water.
Old Mill.
Okay. So if you just take those out and pinch yourself a little bit, you know, we're 250 less good than the numbers show because they were, again, were reimbursements from last year. But we'll take the dollars and put them in the bank and move forward. Any questions from council on the financial statements? Okay.
I've got one.
Yeah.
My recollection was that most of the year traffic cam revenue has been running behind budget. It looks now like it's pretty well caught up.
We're 2% behind.
Is there a story there or just that's what it is?
You know, I don't know. I talked to the chief yesterday and at the safety committee meeting next week. We're going to go through the traffic camera program, Michael, because it's been 2 years. We've always said, you know, we need 2 years of history to really be able to look at the numbers and interpret what they might be. That 1 month or 2 months with the seasonality in some ways, and then when the ticketing comes in, and then when the tickets are paid, you know, you need a larger period of time, and we're kind of at the 2-month, at the 2-year period now. We have seen, and I think you'll see in the chief's report, that the volume of traffic on Mayfield Road continues to increase. I think we're up to over 400,000 cars a month. And that certainly produces a lot of traffic and a lot of potential speeders and a lot of people that also have lowered the speed. So part of it may just be volume that and what looks to be kind of a trend line up, permanent trend line up in terms of value on Mayfield. There shouldn't be much else. We have done second collections a bit, and I don't think there's anything else that's unusual.
Second question has to do with, could you give us an idea of what the schedule is for the investment committee and the budget, the preparation leading to the budget for next year?
Sure. We will have Janet's numbers that she's pulling together from the department heads. She's been doing that for the last week or two. We'll have the road program discussed today, and with council's nod, we'll be putting in about $1 million into the budget for the road program. That's a big item. We probably should be able to have the traffic camera analysis next week at the safety committee meeting. And so I would guess probably in about 3 weeks, we'd be able to sit down and go through the budget, first cut budget for next year. Okay. Okay, we'll move on. Clerk's report. Anything, clerk?
Nothing to
Okay.
report.
Okay, thank you. Treasurer's report, Dixon is not here tonight. He's practicing with the Gates Mills Players in a play that we'll put on in November, so we've excused him from the meeting. Chuck Spear is here in his stead in case there's any questions. We did have a investment committee meeting this morning with Ancora and with the investment board. If there's no questions, we'll move to the department heads. Chief, Police Department report, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Everybody should have received a copy of my report. Be happy to take any questions you might have. I was just going to mention, Mayor alluded to it already, safety committee meeting next week at Town Hall. It'll be at 5 p.m. It's a week from tomorrow. And I believe the agenda will go out tomorrow. The draft agenda will go out sometime tomorrow. And number 3 there, I thought it was kind of important to kind of bring people up to speed on that. Lieutenant Paluccio will be retiring from the department at the end of the year. The lieutenant comes from a police family. He's been here 28 years. And somebody's kind of struggled with. I mean, it goes through people's minds, of course, when they're retired eligible. And, we've had some frank conversations about it. And he just felt it was the right time for him and his family. His wife's in public service herself. So, he'll be, wrapping things up here at the end of the year, and we have a big loss. Mike does a great job for us. He does a lot behind the scenes for us, and his service has been very, very much appreciated by not only myself, but to fellow villagers alike. Yes, sir.
Chief, when was lieutenant made lieutenant?
I don't have the exact date.
What year?
I would say I think it was the end of 2020 or early 2021. So about that 4 or 5 year mark.
Thank you.
Our initial thinking is to replace the position, but not replace the position with a lieutenant. We do need the police coverage, but at this point, it would be premature to pick anybody at that spot, whether we have someone internally or externally.
Well, and if I could just kind of add to that, I mean, it's not that maybe we don't want to do that. Right now, we feel like this is the best point. We want to build up the patrol division, gives us some flexibility down there moving into next year. We'll have, a couple new faces. So we just feel like right now, we're going to go ahead and take that initial step, and we'll figure the rest out down the road.
Please make sure to let us know when there's a recognition for him.
Oh, for sure.
Luncheon or whatever. I'm sure we'll all want to participate. He's been a great contributor to the village.
Nothing else? That'll conclude my report. Thank you.
Dave Biggert, the Service Department report, please. And Mike, we're going to tee up the slides for the road program when you get a moment, please. Thank you. I'm in this 15 to 30 minute mentality now. I've been told 3 hours is too much.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. You should have received a brief monthly report. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. There are none. That would conclude my report, and I think Chris is going to take it from here regarding the road program.
Hold on, you're not getting off that.
Oh, boy. All right.
We are expecting Chagrin Valley Gig to begin to bring their equipment and their trucks into the village over the next month. We looked at 4 or 5 sites around the village as to where we can accommodate that space with security, some electricity, and access. And while nobody wants trucks and equipment packed in their backyard, we did evaluate 5 sites against 4 or 5 criteria. It was Dave's recommendation and my approval that we use the site that is on River Road. I think it's about the 900 block of River Road. Some would call it the old dump. It has a lot of dirt piled up in the back of it, which we've moved to the front to create somewhat of a barrier. We're going to plant wildflowers in the spring. We expect the equipment to be there for about a year and a half. It'll be secured by the gate and the lock that's currently there, and it is a central point in the village for large trucks, their trucks, and so on. I did send that note to council, and I had comments from one council member. If you want to
Just a couple of
questions, yes, David.
Yeah. Did you consider Fellowfield or the Kitch property when it's demolished?
We did.
How about
We
that?
considered the Fellowfield site was considered, and because it's primarily a recreational facility, and we've put quite a bit of work into that, we didn't want to disturb the baseball fields that are there. The Kish property isn't yet ready to go. There'll be an auction, I think, this weekend to handle the rest of Mr. Kish's work. We've been doing some work there on site to straighten out some tree stumps and do some other work to make the property a little bit more appealable to buyers. And because it's going to be ready for sale and marketable, we didn't consider that as a viable site for the CVG equipment.
Thank you.
The other thing that we're going to do, because it is on River Road and it is near a bend, we'll have some signs in both directions alerting drivers to slow down around the bend because there's construction vehicles or trucks turning in or out. Okay, thank you. Dave, anything else?
That's it. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. So Chris Courtney is going to walk us through the road program. I also saw that Chip Allwater joined us. Can't see him, but maybe he's there somewhere. Oh, there he is. Thank you. So Chris will go through the background and what we've done to take a kind of a midterm look at this. We started 3 years ago with a lot of roads that were in bad condition and what looked to be about a $6 million obligation to fix them. And had that work evaluated by a company called Pavement Management Group, PMG, who essentially evaluated each road, gave it a score with a reason why, and that helped us shape a plan to bring all the roads into fair condition over a 5 or 6 year period by primarily increasing our annual spend, which had been $500,000 or $600,000 a year, to close to $1 million a year. No one would want to spend a $6 million nugget all at once, and so we thought we could raise this as the village moved on and be able to budget this in, and over 5 or 6 years, we'd have the roads in a better condition. And I think we're finding halfway through, we're pretty much there. So Chris, let me ask you to walk the council members through the report, please.
Sure. As the mayor mentioned, we started off about 3 years ago in 2022, wanting to bring a little more science to the way that we developed our road program and planned our expenditures. For years, we had worked on kind of a fixed annual budget, as the mayor mentioned, $500,000 to $600,000. Dave and I and the other service department guys would work in different segments of the village, determine what the needs were within those areas, move around the village over a variety of years in an effort to try to hit the worst spots. What we found is we were playing a bit of a losing battle with some of the maintenance we were doing that was working, but with respect to actually rebuilding roads, completely resurfacing, the annual budget just was not supporting the amount of work that needed to be done. So we engaged a company by the name of the Pavement Management Group, utilizing newer technology, artificial intelligence. They high-def video recorded all the roads in the village and determined a pavement condition index, or PCI, for all the roads in the village. We got that, we got it in a big spreadsheet complete with all the videos, and we set about developing a 3 to 5 year program where we were going to attack the worst roads first, with the desire over the first few years of trying to eliminate all the failed roads and raise our pavement condition index substantially over that first term. So that's not changing. That's okay. One moment. Okay, so what we want to do here real quick is we just want to take this time, hit time out, bring council up to speed on what's happened over the course of the last 3 years. What is the current pavement conditions within the village? We want to do a quick review of the work that's been completed since 2022, which has really been focused on the worst roads in the village, and then also starting to more aggressively maintain roads that are in good shape so we can get them to last longer. Put you in the best position to answer questions that may be asked of you by villagers who are questioning why we're spending road dollars the way we are, so that you'll be in the know with respect to that. Discuss where we are with our initial objective of raising our overall pavement condition index, or PCI, within the village to 70 or above. We started off at 62. And then also continuing to work towards that goal, recognizing that we still have millions and millions of dollars to spend in order to address all the roads that we have that are in poor and fair condition as well. So we do have budget constraints. We want to lay out a potential 5-year plan for the next 5 years. And then lastly, as in keeping with the way we did it last year, we want to seek council approval to go out to bid for the 2026 road program, so we can look to an early 2026 award and a start coming out of spring, which would allow us to wrap the road program up mid-year and get everything submitted to the county so that we can get our county reimbursement dollars in 2026 as we did this year, which is the preference, to keep everything in the same year. So real quick, this was one of the roads that was identified as failed in the 2022 Pavement Management Group study, and then it was a road that was redone. So these side-by-side videos will run simultaneously, and you can see the condition of the road then versus now. You can see we've gotten rid of all that edge cracking. The cracking along the center line is gone. That road edge failure, once that starts happening, the road is somewhat beyond being able to be resurfaced. So we do edge repairs a couple feet wide, 6 inches deep, mill off the entire surface, and then replace 2 to 3 inches of asphalt on the surface on a road like Blackberry. But you get a feeling, they're a little bit offset right now, but you get a feeling for the dramatic improvement that's been made over that roadway. So that reflects a roadway that probably went from something in the 30s to something that is in the 90s. So you can see the village's road dollars, good use on Blackberry Lane. And all the roads that we've rehabilitated through this program show similar improvements. And with aggressive maintenance, crack filling, reclamite, doing spot repairs, we shouldn't have to get back in there to resurface Blackberry Lane for 15 to 20 years. Okay. So what does our annual road program look like? We generally compartmentalize it into 4 chunks. First is the county road maintenance, And each year we submit a request to the county for county road maintenance reimbursement dollars. That's for material spent on county roads. They commit to a certain dollar value, and then we separate that out in a separate section. So when we get done with our county road maintenance for the year, we submit our reimbursement to the county, and they send us back about half the costs we have in county road maintenance. We have local road maintenance and spot repairs, which is the non-resurfacing part of the local road work. So that's crack filling, reclamite, patching, that sort of stuff, berm work. Then we have local road resurfacing and reconstruction. So that's the more heavy-duty resurfacing and reconstruction, like was shown on Blackberry. And then we also have culvert and drainage work. The chart down below shows the expenditures over the last 4 years as it relates to culvert and drainage work in the road program. You'll notice some numbers that kind of vary from year to year. The 963 that was spent in 2022, that number reflects a pretty substantial change we had on Chartley, portion of which I think about $250,000 was actually paid in 2023. But it was assigned to the 2022 road program. So if you do that, those numbers kind of equalize themselves out a little bit. And then the really large expenditure we have in 2024 is reflective of the Mayfield Road culvert being done at Chagrin River Road and also County Line Road, which was a $550,000 expenditure in partnership with Chester Township. But generally, if you average those across the board, we're looking at about $1 million a year. This shows the roads that we have fully resurfaced since 2022. Norvale East and West, Chartley, Carpenter, Blackberry, Chestnut Run, Hawthorne Farms Drive, County Line. Again, that's half of the road. The other half is in Chester. Andrews Lane and Hill Creek, which were just completed this year. So you can see we've taken some pretty low numbers and we've shoved them into the excellent category on the chart. Overall, at the bottom, you can see that our pavement condition index for the village road, all the village roads combined was 62 in 2022, and we've brought that all the way up to 68 in 2025. And a poll of the probably a dozen different east side communities that all have utilized pavement management group. The general pavement condition index on average for communities in our area is about 63. So we're running nicely above average right now. You can also see from this chart, again, our PCI went from 62 to 68. The number of failed roadway sections, and a section is identified as kind of between two intersections. You may have one road that has multiple sections between different intersections, but we've gone from 8 to 1 failed section. The number of poor sections we've had have been reduced from 32 to 17, and the roadway sections we have that are in fair or better condition has gone from 76% up to about 93%. I think those are all great numbers that show the tremendous progress we've made over the last few years. Okay. And you can see from the chart down below, we have had quite a bit of roads that have gone from the good condition into the fair condition, but that's expected as roadways continuing to weather and just indicative of our roadway system. And there's nothing wrong with a fair roadway. We just have to be mindful of that because they're one click above being poor. So we do everything we can to get those to remain fair as long as we can and be mindful of those are projects that are coming down the road at a later date that we need to be mindful of. Sandra?
I have a question. Go back to the prior slide where you've got the comparison. It seems like the 2025 condition is so much better in most of those examples, and yet I don't understand the small difference between the 62 and the 68. I would have expected the numbers on the right to be, I mean, the average to be higher.
Oh, well, again, keep in mind, this is village-wide.
Okay.
So when you look at, that's not just these roads,
Okay.
Sandra, that is the
It's the
entire
whole-
village. So,
All
you know,
right.
we've got hundreds of roadway segments. This just shows the roads that we've done substantial resurfacing projects on in the last 3 years.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Mike,
Chris, could you go back one more?
going in the wrong direction.
I know.
Okay.
We certainly achieved one of our objectives, which was to raise the PCI. 62 to 68 is very good. One of the other benefits we expected was having upped the spending significantly over this period. We thought the benefit would be a lower spending going forward. Is that still the outlook?
I think as we get through the next 3 to 5 year cycle, that will be the case. We still have a good amount of roadways that are in the poor category, and that will be 1 or 2 slides ahead once I start moving forward again. And you'll see that we've got a number of roadways that are still in the poor category that may fall into the failed category. So we want to make sure that we are addressing those in the near term as opposed to waiting for them to get so far gone that we've got to spend more money to rehab them. Does that answer the question?
It does.
Okay.
Glad to.
Small question. Work must have been done on Colvin Road. That surface looks very new to me. Is that on this list?
We did just patching on Colvin this year. If you recall, we had Colvin on this year's agenda to completely redo the roadway. And that cost was about $200,000. So when the road program was awarded this year, council opted to not do Colvin and delay it till next year. So we just did some patching because it was in terrible shape in a few spots. So we'll be completely redoing Colvin from one end to the other next year.
Thank you.
And that's reflected in the 2026 road program proposal.
So Chris, in the numbers in the prior slide, I know our guys are doing, and bless them, they're doing some of the crack sealing and the crack plan. Are we including the cost of our guys in those costs? Or are these only?
This is all contract stuff, not internal.
Okay. All right.
And many times the bulk of the crack sealing that we do, Scott, is on county roads. And our guys handle the local work.
Okay.
And if we run out of dollars before we run out of material, then we hold up. If we have some extra dollars left after we do crack sealing on county roads, we may do some local roads as well by contract.
That's hard work for our guys. That's not fun work.
So what do we want to do next? I think we've made tremendous progress over the last 4 years. We know we're making improvements in our overall PCI. So we want to look at what the next 5 to 6 year cycle looks like to address all the roads that we have that are 50 or less. So that puts everything in the poor category. For roads less than a 50 pavement condition index, we want to look at what the actual road condition is and determine what restoration method is going to best fit. We want to look at estimated improvement costs for that, and then lay out a 5 to 6 year program that's going to work within the budget that we've established, which is about $1 million a year, and try to stay within that constraint. And then look to update the pavement management group roadway assessment in another 3 years, which would be 2028. And at that point in time, kind of go through this process again and revisit where we are from a road standpoint. So if we look at where we are with any roads that we have that are currently in failed or poor condition, which is failed is less than 30 and poor is between 49 and 30, you can see that our first few years effort to get rid of all the failed roadways has essentially been successful. The only one that remains is Colvin at 26. And we had that program for this year, but have just delayed the expense until next year because council felt that was a better fit within the budget. So what we'd like to do over the next 5 to 6 years is address all the roads that are below 50, which would take care of all the roads that are in the failed or poor condition currently. And the cost of doing that would be about $1.6 million. Keeping in mind that $1.6, $1.7 million is only a portion of the roadway expense each year. We have county road maintenance, local road maintenance, culvert and drainage work to do also that is additive to this. This next slide shows those roads that are in the fair condition. So that's going to be roadways that are below 70, which are just a slot above the poor condition. You can see we've got a number of them that are in the mid to low 50s. We can expect those to continue slide downward from a pavement condition index standpoint. So I would suspect by the next pavement management group assessment that we do in 2028, probably going to have a few of these that are going to move into the poor category as well. So we're going to find them showing up in the next round of roadways that we want to try to address. And I've also noted on the right, just for information's sake, county roads and state routes, because those have different spending repercussions. County roads, we submit to the county on an annual basis. County roads we want to resurface, and they will fund those at 50/50 with us up to $250,000. If they meet criteria and are judged to be worthy Cuyahoga County-wide, and also state routes like Mayfield Road, which you'll see on a later slide, which we are responsible for 20% of the resurfacing costs. The state picks up 80, and we are also responsible for 100% of the drainage work on those roads. And you can see that next chunk of roads is about $9 million, not all of which is the responsibility of the village, but there's still quite a large expense looming out there. So for 2026, what we propose to do is Colvin and Glenwood. The proximity of them and condition makes them good candidates to do it at the same time. They're right across the street from each other. The cost for Colvin is $200. The cost for Glenwood is $400. On Beverly and Chelsea, which are both low-volume residential roads, they do fall into the category. They require some attention, but I'm not proposing a complete resurfacing. I'd like to do a double chip seal and fog seal on both of those, which would be more than sufficient for a low-volume residential road and should get them to last quite a bit longer. And then Settlers Ridge at $250,000, which is a roadway that was in bad condition before this year and has taken an absolute beating as a result of a large home reconstruction renovation project that's going on Settlers Ridge. And the asterisk there is we do look for some contribution by the property owner or contractor that's been working on that project. I've already engaged them in conversation about them owing the village for some substantial road damage that they've done. And we anticipate that being anywhere up to about $100,000 for the road, the damage that's been done to the road. In conjunction with that, we've got county road maintenance estimated at $200,000. I submitted the county maintenance request today, actually, while I was sitting in the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. And then local road maintenance of $150,000 and culvert and drainage work of $100,000. So that puts the program at about $1,014,000, with $564 being dedicated to actual road resurfacing projects. And then in 2027, we've got Mayfield Road on the horizon with the state. We've got 20% and then 100% of drainage at $350,000 programmed in. Gates Road, again, a good candidate because it's proximal to Mayfield Road, and then our same county road maintenance, local road maintenance, culvert drainage. And then the next 2028, 2029, and 2030, taking the roadways off that same chart.
Just 1 second.
Sure.
You're on your last slide, I think, just for anybody watching in the YouTube video, I think you said for Glenwood 400, and it was actually 40. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So just anybody watching on the YouTube video,
$100,000.
they didn't see it.
$40,000.
There you go.
Glenwood. Thank you. I wouldn't want them thinking the street's going to be paved with gold. And then what we've done with the way that those roads have laid out in this previous chart is we've selected roadways based on their geographical location to each other. And you'll see based on the 28, 6, 27, 28, 29, and 30 programs that all the roads are in relative location to one another. And they all fit pretty well along with our county local road maintenance and culvert drainage work to fit very much into that $1 million a year expenditure, allowing us in this 5-year period to address all the roadways that are falling in the under 50 pavement condition index category. So what we are asking for coming out of this, pending any questions, is permission to go out to bid for the 2026 road program for this amount of work, which would be for Colvin, Glenwood, Beverly, Chelsea, and Settlers Ridge, and then county road, local road maintenance, and culvert and drainage work, looking at about $1,014,000 in cost. That would, of course, be, once the bids come back, subject to council award of an actual contract. So in keeping with what council has done previously, once we get these bids back, we see what the numbers look like. Council at that point in time, which we would anticipate would be next February, or early March, would make the decision on the actual expenditure. This is just the request to go out and get bids for this amount of work. So any questions? And if not,
I just have one. So you said that these roads now last for 15 years-ish once they're,
once we do a complete resurfacing on them, before we think about going back in for a complete resurfacing about that,
so will we be on after this, will we be on a 5-year maintenance or will we be on a 15-year maintenance?
well, we do there's different types of maintenance, John. What we do is, once a road is resurfaced, we look at doing what's called reclamite treatment a couple years after, which is a surface rejuvenator. We then do crack sealing as we get into years 2 through 5. And then as we get into years 5 through 10, we may do some patching. And then it's going to appear, depending on the roadway, some weather far faster than others. We may have it back on a list for resurfacing in 15 years, or if it's a roadway that doesn't weather as fast, maybe 20 years forward.
And I only mentioned that because I was thinking, with the new way in which you're doing this, and it's fantastic. If we actually have a further out view and say, okay, well, here's our budget now for a longer period of time because we have the ability to figure out when they're going to fall off.
Well, thanks to Chip and Peter at my office for the help in putting this together and putting it together in a digestible form. What we hope to be able to do is we get a third year of data. We can look at the actual pavement condition indices for roadways, look what it was in 22, 25, 28, and then we can develop somewhat of a curve of how we think these roadways are weathering and get better ideas of when they're going to be falling within certain categories of pavement condition indices. Because if we've got a roadway that is in sunshine and sees that kind of condition year round, we're finding that compared to a roadway that is damp in the shade all the time, those roadways weather much faster than a roadway that is subjected to good weather all the time. And that will give us a better view into that moving forward.
Is there any reason the presentation, it's fairly complex, any reason it wasn't circulated in advance so we could have prepared for the discussion?
I would say the primary reason for that is your engineer was on vacation last week, and this was being assembled by people that were located in Northeast Ohio and in Orlando, Florida. And we just had the pavement management group assessment completed, reviewed, corrected and revised and submitted in such a time that this was this earliest opportunity that we had to get it together.
We also wanted to get it out to you now because we'll be doing the budgeting process over the next several weeks. We wanted to give you a sense that the $1 million spend of the last 3 years has been about the right level for both the improvements from 62 to 68, as well as specific roads, and whether we wanted to continue on that path. I owe some credit to Chris and his team and Chip for working the last eight weeks on this. I think, Michael, I looked at the report probably 3 weeks ago. We identified some odd items and they went back and researched them. But the real question for council now
I'm not
is,
complaining about the results. The results are excellent.
Yeah.
But next time, start earlier on the report so we can have a chance to look at it.
well, honestly, we've been working on it for about 6 weeks. And there's a lot to the report and a lot of the databases that have been put down into these.
Yeah, I think we got the final pavement management group report about 3 weeks ago. And we wanted to get this to council as quickly as possible. We could have waited until next month and given you all more of an opportunity to digest it. But knowing we were at the beginning of the budget cycle and it was good news, we wanted to share the good news and ask to be able to continue the good work in 2026.
Is this on the website right now?
I don't believe so.
Could it be?
We just got it before this.
Well, tomorrow. I mean, don't let's wait for the minutes to come out for this meeting. If that could go up quickly.
We could put the PowerPoint on the website within 24 hours.
Great.
This PowerPoint is also full screen as you're looking at it, captured on the YouTube, so you can go watch it immediately.
Okay, thank you very much.
Is there a sense from council that Chip, I'm sorry, you had a question or a comment, please? While you're coming up to the microphone, is there comments from council as well on the program and going forward?
No, I think this is fantastic. It gives residents an idea for what the next 3 to 4 or 5 years look like, where they live, the work being done. I just have a question. I assume the price on this is heavily tied or very correlated to the underlying commodity price of oil.
Oh,
And-
absolutely.
And so
Yep.
is this $1 million number a year? And if oil's trading at $35 or $40 a barrel next spring, we're pulling all that up to spend $1 million?
Yeah, so
or it would
in
be, hey, we don't spend
2022,
as
we
much?
based our numbers for what the square yardage cost of the work that we were proposing to do on the prior 3 years road programs that we had, kind of averaging all our line items and developing per square yard costs. The numbers that are presented here in 2025 are based on our road programs for the last 3 or 4 years, and we've brought them up to speed, and we found that the assumptions that we made in 2022 regarding a lot of costing were very, very close.
Okay.
So I'm very confident that, absent some huge change in the market that's going to drive those prices crazy, these numbers should be pretty good.
Okay, thanks.
And I'll tell you, forecasting oil prices is a tricky business.
Yes, it is.
Very.
Chip Order, Berkshire Road. Couple of comments. Michael, you asked, why wouldn't we be looking at a bit of a break? Because I thought we might. But the principle here is to serve this up to you guys to digest. By the way, you're not committing to any of these numbers. All you're asking tonight is just get out for bid. You can refine this to your heart's content before next March. But I encourage all of you council members to go drive 3 roads when you feel like it. Saddlebrook is rated in the 40s. Sherman Ashford Court to County Line is rated in the 50s. Gates Mills Boulevard is rated in the 60s. Why am I asking you to do that? Because a road that's rated 49 isn't in terrible shape. It's not an emergency. A failed road, yeah, though I'm surprised residents weren't out here with pitchforks on council to get those things addressed, but we've addressed most of them.
We have the Colvin people tonight.
Well, yeah, Colvin, good point.
For a different
Yeah,
reason.
please, I hope you didn't bring pitchforks. So, and the intent would have been, we would have addressed it earlier, but Geauga County said, we're doing county line. It might be smart if you did it with us. And so that pushed everything out 1 year. So you can slide some of these out and stretch it over 6 years. The world isn't going to come to an end. The other chart that we included in here is how many roads are above that. Now, if it's 50 or 51, then over the next 3 to 5 years, that's probably going to slide into the 40s. But you could knock 100 or 200,000 out of this and stretch it into year 6 or 7. This was intended to get everything above 50 over the 5-year period. So that's the framework. You can easily modify that number. One other factor is the county road maintenance, we get money back. So we have 200,000 in these numbers, anywhere from 60 to 90,000 a year back. So over these 5 years, we could be getting 500,000 back against this 5 million. So just be mindful of those numbers. And obviously, to the extent that oil prices and cost comes up, then you might have to bump a road on that basis. On the other hand, he's tried to cover his bets also that we put pretty hefty numbers in. Sometimes you don't have to do as much work when you strip off the surface, so it might come in a little bit less. So this is an outline, this is a projection, but you then take it year by year. So just really in response to your point, Michael.
I think you did a great job, Chip, putting this program together.
Thank you.
I wish we could do the rest of the village as well as we're doing the road. program.
Well, it's, 20 to 25% of what the village spends, and you've got the science. Here's one other way to look at this. You're going to have roads after this that are in their 50s, roads in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. The average is going to come out by definition into the 70s. Now, as Chris said, the other communities, if all of our roads are average in the 70s, we're going to be at the upper end and our roads will be in great shape. So anyways, that's up to you guys to decide how you want to spend it. But that was and of course we have Mayfield. Mayfield's at 63, but the county's telling us or the state, whatever, is going to work on that next year, 2027. So we had to drop that in at 350,000. There's another example. So you're not going to ignore that and tell them, no, we don't need that done if they're ready to do it. So anyways, that was just some additional comments for you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Any further comments? And if not, I would appreciate a motion and a second to authorize competitive bidding for the 26 road program.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Laurie. Thank you, Michael. Any further comment? Roll call, please.
Anton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon. Yes. Monesco,
Yes.
Press.
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Thank you, Chip. Thank you, Chris, and thanks to your team at PMG.
Oh, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm sorry I didn't get to show you a SpongeBob video this time. I got the feeling it didn't go over particularly well last time. Maybe I'll try it again next time and see if I have a more receptive audience.
Okay, Fire Department report. Tom, may we ask you to present?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. I submitted a report for the month of September. Are there any questions on that particular report?
Smell of natural gas on the 24th of September. What was that? What happened? Was it a gas well or was it a resident?
Yeah. No,
That's
actually, it was a report from,
Oh,
It was what?
it was a report from the police department that somebody smelled, had an odor or smell in the basement of Town Hall. So we investigated it and found out that it was not. It was just a odor probably from the sewage plant or something. Once we aired out the hallway and took our readings and whatnot, it was fine.
Of course, gas from a sewage plant is explosive.
Yeah, hydrogen sulfide is, yes.
Correct. Yep. Thank you.
Chief,
Mhm.
do we have any view of, there's a fair number of oil and gas wells in the village. Some have been there a long time. Do we have any view of what kind of, whether any of them are leaking?
Well, what occurs is every well has a well operator and they check their wells periodically. You know, sometimes they have to haul away brine water and whatnot. Anytime there's a odor complaint, we go out and investigate that. We did find one a few months ago on Carpenter Road that had a bad valve mechanism that we addressed with the operator and it was fixed within 24 hours.
Thank you.
Chief, just looking at the Mayfield Village EMS calls, I don't have my sheet from last time, but I think it looks like that number dropped on a monthly basis. I think your conversation with the high users went well. Thank you.
in addition to the chief's report, we wanted to speak for a few minutes about authority to go out and get competitive bids for a new fire engine. Included in your packages was a two-page summary of titled Purchase of Engine 1413. I did send you a note that I wasn't going to send the 101 page spec book unless you wanted to see it. And it's available, but it's maybe a little more technical than what we need. So I asked Tom and Mike and Rob to put together a summary, and it's down to 2 pages. We have looked at the need and the need to replace it. We have looked at other engines that are old, used, and could they be purchased and refurbished as we did back with the Pepper Pike 20 years ago. And both of those are not going to be avenues for us. The document that you have explains what we want to do, and the various requirements that we'll have in terms of horsepower, number of hoses, equipment, et cetera. We're expecting this to be about a 3-year process. We want to get this going now so we can start to get the package out there. We think there will be a total of 6 companies that we could send the proposal to. Those of you that follow fire engine trends across the country understand that there are very few manufacturers, perhaps only 2 or 3, and that there's a huge backlog of engines requested from much larger institutions than the Village of Gates Mills. So we need to get going, and we need to get kind of in queue here. We're not even sure when people get our bid package if they'll say, this is too small of a piece of business. I've got an order for 20 trucks from Phoenix. Why do I need to spend one little one in Gates Mills? So we've identified the 6 vendors that we'll go to, 5 vendors, excuse me, and we've put together the spec package, which we would like to get out. So we're looking for a motion to authorize the competitive bidding for a new fire engine. Tom, do you want to add any detail to that?
Yes, this process actually started in 1994 when Chief Pursuit called Rob Jameson and myself into his office and said, we need to design the next pumper for Gates Mills that will fit in the station, climb the hills, and be able to maneuver through the tight roadways. We did that. That was the Darley Spartan truck that we bought in 1996. That continued with the 2019 Spartan Alexis truck we bought. And this is following that suit to replace which will be a 40-year-old Pierce Arrow pumper that we bought used and refurbished. So this is the game plan that's been in place basically since 1996, and we hope to continue with that.
Quite a bit of work has been done on our plan going into this year. Our priorities on the safety priorities was to put together the specs and get the bids out this year so we could start to see what the costs are. We know this will be a 7-figure item. And if we start to understand what that cost would be by getting some bids back with the specs that we write, we can start to think about, like we do with the road program, how do we finance this? Is this something that we lease, something that we buy, something we pay for in installments? We've also tried to, I'll use the word genericize, as many of the specs as we can so that we're not ordering everything to be particularly custom built. But there are some things, especially when you talk about the hills and the terrain and the low turning radiuses, some of the driveways that we have in people's yards. This is not your typical engine that's going to go up and down Mayfield Road. John?
I would, the kid in me would pay for a little engraving of my name on the side of the fire truck, so maybe you should put that out to the community.
I have a question.
Spaghetti dinners, John, spaghetti dinners.
Whenever I have a question. Whenever we talk about these specs, I certainly understand the need for an engine that's customized that can go on our curvy roads and down long driveways and carry long hoses. The piece that always gets me is as well to fit into the station. How big of an issue is that with regard to the specs as compared to some of these others? Because I keep thinking there must be a way to expand the front of the station to get the truck in. If that's a huge factor here, let's do something about the station. If it isn't, then, I'm satisfied, but that always kind of catches me.
Well, not that we wouldn't like a new fire station, but realistically, when this was put into place in 1994, when we started to look at things, we realized that our station was a limiting factor. It was originally based on a New England style station. Over the years, and you can pick up any fire truck magazine or look on the internet, the standards have changed dramatically for fire trucks and they've grown enormously. If you can look at some of the neighboring communities and you look at our truck and you put it next to one of theirs, it looks like a little midget fire truck almost. Although it does carry all the required equipment, and that's part of the engineering that we've done through the years working with the manufacturers, because we don't want to just go out and buy a fire truck. We want to buy something that is safe, reliable, does the job, and is rated by the National Fire Protection Standards for the community. And so far, we've been able to accomplish this. I realize it took a long time to develop the last set of specifications because there's been so many changes in the industry. A big one was the EPA regulations that will take effect in 2027, and we have no way of getting around those.
So I think what I'm hearing from Sandra, it's a good point, is let's not let the size of the garage dictate a 40-year decision on what kind of fire engine we should have. If we need to have
Thank you.
a bigger, better house for it, we should be looking at that as well.
Maybe that's less, less expensive than the.
Well, along with that, the thing that it forced us to do is when we did buy the smaller truck, they had a much better ability for hill climbing, getting down narrow driveways. In fact, even now when we respond on a fire call in the village, we like our truck to go down the driveway first, no matter who gets there first, because other communities that respond to Gates Mills, their apparatus is so big, it becomes a problem. So yeah, was that a limiting factor? But it also was a good design for our village.
Chief, could you comment on your efforts to find a used one and fix up a used one?
Yeah, yes, I would. We went out and not only surveyed some of the companies, but we asked them to keep their eye out for a truck that would meet our height and length requirements. We also looked at plain commercial chassis vehicles. The problem is when they can meet the right size, they can't meet enough horsepower, which is a limiting factor here in Gates Mills to climb for the hill climbing ability. We also surveyed our area mutual aid departments because that's who we've been kind of farming out to. If you recall, we bought a used pumper from Chesterland at one time. We bought a used tanker truck at one time from an outside source. This last truck that we purchased from Pepper Pike, the 1987 Pierce, that was used. It was at the end of its lifespan there. We bought it, we refurbished it, and temporarily put it on the road as our third pumper slash service company. I actually asked the chief from Pepper Pike if he was gonna rotate the next one out of the fleet. They are not rotating his 20-year-old truck. They're gonna put it in reserve. Also, I think it was Middleburg Heights was selling a used pumper. We went out and looked at it. It wouldn't meet our needs. Highland Heights and some of the other area departments, because fire apparatus is getting so horrendously expensive, have decided to, instead of rotating immediately, they do a survey of their vehicle, do a minor refurbishment, and they'll keep theirs for another, 5, 10 years, whatever. So again, we're kind of stuck in a catch-22 because even if we find something used, are we really going to pay $400,000 or $500,000 for something that's used that we may only get, 15 years out of? The new pumper that we're going to buy historically should last the village between 30 and 40 years.
Thank you, Chief. Any other comments? Now, may I have a motion to authorize competitive bidding for the new fire engine?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Craig. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Peton.
Yes.
Broom.
Yes.
Deacon. Yes. Vanesco.
Yes.
Press.
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
Tom, thanks to you and your team for putting this together. So it was a better part of several months to put together the package and the specs. So thank you for that. The next item on the agenda is quick updates on broadband and tree canopy. Lori, do you have anything further on CVG?
I do. Just a few items. So CBG have been doing meetings at Village Hall for residents to come in and ask questions and so on. They weren't particularly well attended, probably because we're still a little ways off. So they've reduced the number of meetings. You can find them in the pink sheet. November 12th, 4 to 6, December 10th, 4 to 6, January 14, 4 to 6 p.m. So, in case it changes, be sure and check the pink sheet. And then also, I did check with Don Fellows at CVG. John, I think that's your contact that you wanted. I need to get that to you. And as to, the status, they have provided bill plans to our engineers. Chris, you should have those correct. So they said, let them know if you need more input or anything else. And January 1 is still the expected start date.
Yeah, where we are with them is they provided a set of plans that shows their first work area. They were cursory at best. We're in the process of putting together existing conditions drawings for them that actually show all the utilities in the right of way, so they can do their final design drawings on a plan that actually shows all the important information, so we can make sure we're locating them in the right spot. And then they've got the ability to prepare as-built drawings, so we have a permanent record of where they're located within the right of way.
And so they know that you're doing that and that's on the way?
Yes, yeah, we talked with them just last week about it.
Okay, excellent. Good.
And some of the surveyors that we see outside over the last several days are doing that. Right.
Lori, is there something we should be doing to stimulate residents' interests? For example, if CVG was sending out, what are the choices you have and what's the cost of going with the system? Maybe we'd get a better turnout for the meetings.
So Jean did put it in Gates Mills Connect, and that did bring in, I stopped by there on Saturday, but they don't want to start talking about signing up yet, because depending on where you live in the village, it could be a little bit of time before you have service. So, and then folks would, get a little antsy, like, where's my service? So that's why they like to kind of phase it. Because as you know, the first area that will be done will be the city, the village.
But they will prioritize residential areas based on the demand. So they'll go to the people who want it most first.
Yeah, I think
Say.
there's a number of different criteria that they look at, but once the village has been done, yes, they would be looking at, getting subscriptions and talking price and so on and so forth.
Okay, thank you.
This is a great service. So anytime you see on the side of the road, that blue pipe being pulled through, please wave to them. Don't get annoyed because you're going past them, because you should be really jealous when other people have it and you don't. So just give them a nice wave and wait for it to come to your area.
Thank you. Tree Canopy Committee, David or Sandra, any comments from the meeting on Tuesday?
This is all the forward-looking stuff. We hosted 2 leaders of the embryonic Holden Arboretum consulting forestry practice at our October 14th meeting. They discussed with us forestry planning capacity they have to assist us in developing a 10-year plus tree plan for a village-wide tree canopy protection and enhancement program. So a very long-range horizon planning capability. TCC subsequently agreed that other providers of such service be invited to our upcoming meeting. So we're going to invite 2 or 3 other vendors recommended to us by the county, who have cleared these people and qualified them for doing this sort of work. You will recall that the council initially approved invasives control work funded from the Land Conservation Levy on 60 acres of properties owned by GMLC, the village, and the Metro Parks. Subsequently, council approved adding 4 properties owned by GMLC and the village with a total area of 15 acres. That takes the whole thing to 75. The first year of work on those properties is essentially complete. We discussed the invasives program for 2026, which will be the basis for the operating budget submission to council, which will encompass the second year phasing of the 75-acre work, plus possibly broadening the program that is the basis for our operating budget. The Land Conservancy, the Garden Club, and Metro Parks are each very interested in continuing and expanding their participation in the invasives program. We are also pursuing federal grant possibilities, which change with time, I think, for invasive control based on adding to our existing program on GMLC properties and combining those applications for grants with adjacent privately owned properties. So we're looking to the future. Program so far has been doing exactly what we expected it to. And next year we want to expand it and get more people involved in the process. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. I would just also add on the committee reports, we have a Tuesday is the Fire and Safety Committee? Wednesday. What time? Five.
I'm not in-
So,
when would you have a budget?
Who?
Tree canopy?
What
We need to have it.
Yesterday.
Yep.
we're,
It's possible.
yeah, we're trying to do all the budgeting now, so we should huddle.
We've started talking about it. There's some issues to be discussed further. We would aim at doing it a week before the November council meeting.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like that might be too late, so we should talk to Mitch and try to get it done sooner.
We can see what he decides, absolutely.
I was babbling there. What I'm talking about is on October 29th at Wednesday at 5 o'clock is the Gates Mill Safety Emergency meeting. So we have the Safety Committee, otherwise known as the Safety and Emergency Management Committee. It's Wednesday at 5 to 6:30. We'll cover the safety priorities that we have done this year. We'll review the traffic enforcement program. We'll talk about the fire engine, station duty at the fire department, and about a half a dozen other matters. Meetings are open to the public. They'll be in council's chambers. Thank you, Greg. Okay, next item is the sidewalk. This is the third reading of two resolutions. Number 36 is a resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract for the downtown sidewalk improvements, declaring an emergency. Item 35 is the third reading on a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a purchase agreement with Contact Engineered Solutions for a prefab pedestrian bridge system and declaring an emergency. Since our meeting last, let me see how I would suggest we proceed. Well, we'll start with a discussion of the items that we had as open items that people wanted more information on. And between myself and Chris, we'll answer all the questions of additional things that we as a village have done. Chris will then take over and talk about the original plan, the revised plan, and another plan that was suggested to us, so that you'll see that we've evaluated three specific plans. We'll then ask council for questions and comments. That's okay. So that you've had a chance to listen to us first and then have your points of view. And then if there are comments from the audience that are relevant to the topic, I'd ask them to limit themselves to 3 minutes or 4 minutes so that we can move through those and focus primarily on new information that we haven't heard before versus old information, unless you think the old information is so critical we need to hear it again. Okay, is that a fair way for everybody to proceed?
And then we would vote after that.
And we'll vote on the resolutions after that. Okay, so so since we met last, we've done a few things. We have talked to the school principal about the use of the sidewalk, because people have said the school hasn't used it in the past. There was some conclusion, well, why would you use it now? There's some view that kids didn't go down Colvin. Well, they didn't go down Colvin for the principal because it's not a safe place to go. We had reported that a traffic consultant suggested that a safe way to get children from the school to town center, to the library, to the Arboretum, to the park, whatever, would be along River Road, crossing over at Colvin, crossing at Glenwood, being on the west side, and ending up here in the community center. The question was asked of the principal, how often will you use this? What do you use it for, et cetera? I have a written report from her. From which I'll read. In regards to usage, we have a meeting set up with the library tomorrow to discuss collaboration and opportunities for our students and staff to utilize the library. I'm happy to send you the notes from that meeting when it occurs. As to the council meeting, here's what her usage forecast is. Access to more books and resources. Students can borrow a wide range of books, ebooks, audiobooks, and databases beyond what the school library offers. In the topic of research support, librarians can help students learn how to research site sources and use digital tools effectively. For example, our first graders complete an animal report and our fourth graders complete a famous Ohioan report. In the area of technology access, students will be able to use computers, printers, Wi-Fi, and tablets or makerspace. Our Synergy class can collaborate and create projects with the library to extend learning. Classroom support. Teachers can request book bundles on specific topics or themes to report and support lessons. In terms of collaborating with curriculum, librarians can collaborate with teachers to plan research units, to book talks, or to do literacy events. There's also the ability to work with students, complete topics, and help with homework and study. For example, the fifth grade teacher specifically does a lot of work with ecosystems, i.e. water quality, erosion, deposition, landforms, soil composition, etc. It would be great for them to have the sidewalk to be able to utilize the area more. Also, kindergarten just went on a hike to observe animals and leaves, etc. around the area. The sidewalk would have been great for them to utilize during this. I'll have more after our meeting tomorrow, but let me know if you need something else. So rather than me trying to paraphrase it or summarize it, these are her words, and support that there is a desire for increased usage and how she would make use of the sidewalk to get to the library as well as to use the village center. She also followed up with another comment that essentially said, we'll do this often, at least monthly, at least twice a year for all grades. So if there was any concern that this would never be used by the students or by the school, I think we have addressed that comment for you.
Steve, can I comment on that?
Sure.
My view of the Gates Mills Library is that they actually have this great library. I love it, but they have relatively small inventory of books. Mostly what you do is go in there and order books online, and then they tell you when they're in and you go pick them up. Maybe we could have the library deliver books to the school so they didn't even have to go to the library to get those books.
Well, books are one thing. There's audio books. She gave us 6 other areas. I recognize your comment and appreciate it, but I don't think it's just physically getting books. I think there's a lot more to be done there, and we'll get additional comments after the meeting tomorrow. So, we looked into that, and I'm quite satisfied that there would be a fair amount of usage by the school for the reasons that we just outlined and mentioned. A couple other items that you had asked us to look into. There was some question as to whether we could change the speed on Chagrin River Road and move signs around. And I'll let the chief comment on this if I don't do this fairly. But basically, any signs on Chagrin River Road, which is a state route, are governed by Ohio Department of Transportation. We have no ability to change the speed limit without going to them in a formal request. And that usually requires studies, and the studies often take 1 or 2 years. When we moved Chagrin River Road from 55 to 40, my recollection is it took over 2 years of studies, petitions, and writing to eventually get that to be changed. We cannot just pick up a sign that says speed limit 20 and plunk it down in front of someone else's home and say, this is now the new speed limit. What we can do is we can put a sign that says speed limit 25 ahead. Ahead signs are permitted, and we can put a few more ahead signs, hoping to essentially let people know that a lower speed limit is coming and they should start slowing down now. There's no reason why we can't add a sign or two to that effect. There was a question as to whether we could change the school zone flashing lights to incorporate a non-school zone period. The answer to that is no. The school zone flashing lights, the 20-mile-an-hour flashing lights, can only be used during school days and during school hours. So we could not put those up in the summertime and turn them on during camp or any other time and just use those. Again, that's a state law. There was a question as to whether we could increase the business zone from what we currently have, which effectively starts at the Little Creek Bridge here and goes to the other bridge. The answer is no, without request, but we can certainly, and we'd be willing to, as part of resolving this issue of putting forth a start to requesting of the state to expand the business zone to start earlier than the bridge, perhaps all the way down to where the nursery road starts and where the school parking lot is. That may take us a year and a half to do. We're happy to look into that and consider that as part of a solution to a slow down safety problem. There was a question raised as to whether we could put speed tables on the road. These would be areas that would essentially slow down the traffic. Those have to be picked up in the wintertime because otherwise they'll interfere with the plows. That was viewed as just not a really practical item for us here. You oftentimes see those in shopping malls, housing developments, country clubs, places where you're trying to slow down road traffic. Not going to be something that's going to be successful here on our state route. There was a question about flashing lights, and I think we clarified last time that that was probably a misunderstanding. There are no flashing lights. The flashing lights that we currently have, the 20-mile-an-hour school zone, are the flashing lights. And someone had thought, and maybe it was the way it was written or interpreted or read or said, that there would be flashing lights by the school zone. There is nothing additional to be added to that. We looked at a couple paths. Somebody suggested that we avoid the whole problem by sending the students up Colvin Road to the end of the road, having them go through the woods, cross the creek, and end up in and behind the current library. We looked at that because it was a question and it seemed to have some merit to it. The difficulty with that is it would be probably 3 times as long as what we currently have. We don't have access rights because it's private property. You'd have to negotiate either buying the land or creating easements, and you need a bridge that would be probably twice as long as the current bridge to cover over the gorge. Dave Biggert walked that property himself and came up with those conclusions. You're welcome to hear from Dave. I think they had a fire alarm today, huh? Yeah. We'll have to get a hold of Dave tomorrow. So we looked at the 3 other locations. Chris, I'm going to ask you to walk through those 3 and the pluses and minuses, as well as the relative cost.
Okay, so the first one we're going to look at is what I call the original design location, which was what was envisioned by the previous mayor and originally drawn following the path of least resistance between the community building and the school drive. This shows it all on one drawing. So down at this end down here is where we connect to the existing sidewalk on the right side of the drawing. Down here, the existing sidewalk by the community building. And then we'd follow the west side of the road. Here would be the bridge over the creek adjacent to the road bridge in that same location. And then it would cross Glenwood, There'd be the crosswalk across your Green River Road at just north of Colvin, and then the sidewalk would run to the school parking lot on the east side after Colvin Road. Again, this is the original design, 5-foot wide sidewalk, as was originally advertised and bid out by the village. The cost of this collectively is about $233,000, with the sidewalk construction, a crosswalk construction being about $135,000, and the bridge and the preparation for the bridge being the balance of that. We then looked at a second option, which is that same route, but with a 3-foot wide walk, and this is on 2 different drawings. So this shows the same route, same basic geometry for the sidewalk, a 3-foot wide walk in an effort to minimize the impact. And per ADA standards, American Disabilities Act, we have to provide, because of the 3-foot wide walk, we have to provide at no greater than 200-foot spacings. We have to provide turnaround or passing areas that are a minimum of 200 feet apart. We've managed to do that at the crossing locations where the curb ramps are, so that there's the ability for wheelchair passing ability, or the ability to wait for somebody to go by. We can go to the next one, Mike, which shows, okay, this shows the rest of it with the remainder of the 3-foot walk, the bridge in the same location, and then the same connection at 5 feet wide with the walk once we get south of the bridge. That's essentially the walk width that's there right now. Some of the benefits of this is it does not require us to move the utility pole at the corner of the Capella property. It will provide a little less excavation and grading. It's a little less expensive. I think the collective cost of this is around $183,000, so it's less expensive due to the lower volume of concrete work that would be required. But that's essentially the first 2 options would be the original location, 5 foot wide, original location, 3 feet wide. And then, as the mayor mentioned, we did look at using the old interurban right-of-way. So we can look at, what's that? Yeah, that's a one drawing, yeah. So that's the interurban route that we looked at, which would run from the end of Colvin up here. It would have to go through private property. There's no access rights through here, so there'd have to be an easement or a property acquisition done. Then down through the old interurban right-of-way behind the homes on Colvin, which is village-owned property. There are some steep slopes adjacent to that, so there very likely have to be a fence or something that would be located along those steep slopes. We'd have a longer bridge than what would be required out in the right-of-way, which is there. We'd have one about twice as long. And then down in this lower portion, the slopes would be in excess of 10%, which would violate ADA requirements, which would have us not wanting sidewalk slopes any steeper than 5%. So we'd have to do some sort of a kind of a flatter area and landings. May have to get into a serpentine issue down there. The cost of this would be probably closer to $400,000 if we were to go to that route, not to mention the access issues that we would have up along the part on Colvin Road. And then we looked at an all east side solution, which was discussed last week. This is a couple different slides. I think this is very similar to the 3-foot option. But once we get south of Colvin is where we get into many of the issues on the east side. These heavy lines here would be a retaining wall. And that indicates that's dealing with the steep grade issues that we have over there. The area adjacent to the roadway is much higher than the roadway. So in order to get the sidewalk in relatively level and suitable for ADA access, we would have to put a vertical cut in the bank right here and then build a retaining wall that you can see in these cross sections down here. That's going to be about 3 to 4 feet high, There's going to be tree involvement of some large trees adjacent to driveways. And then as we continue to move south, which is the next part of the drawing, Mike, we've got additional retaining walls that would be needed up here. Again, down here shown with the vertical cut in order to get things relatively flattened out and suitable for ADA compliance. So looking at the grading and the retaining walls that would be needed, that would add about $150,000 to the original $233,000 estimate. So that would push this up close to $400,000 or about $390,000 if we were to go on the east side. There's quite a few tree involvements. We would have to deal with 7 utility poles on the other side, which would very likely have a cost associated with it. We asked CEI to move 1 pole in the original option, which they've agreed to do at no cost. If we ask them to move 7, they're very likely going to want to be compensated for those pole moving. Plus, again, the original design followed the path of least resistance for the walk, feeling as though that was going to create the least disturbance, the least removal of vegetation and other things that really set the aesthetic value in this area. Here we would be wholesale clearing and grading of the right-of-way. This would change the look and feel of the downtown area substantially. I think with the amount of grading that would be needed and the retaining wall construction would have to be completed, we'd have probably close to 300 feet of retaining walls that would have to go in. Plus, this installation is about 175 feet longer than the original installation because there's no existing walk over this last portion down here on the once we get close to the library, that first 175 feet just north of the library. So that's them in a nutshell. Yeah, then there were some questions about what the bridge would look like. Just here's the graphic of it. This is the Contech Continental Steel Truss Bridge. It would be of this type, which is a weathering steel, so it's not painted. It doesn't have to be stripped and painted repeatedly. It would get that nice kind of rusty patina look, which I think would blend in very nicely with the surroundings. And on part, it would look like the cross section that you see up on top of the sheet.
In addition, the east side would require us to start having conversations with 2 of the landowners of those homes which have smaller front yards. Let me pause with that and see whether council members have questions or comments. I think this is a pretty good summary of the iterations that we looked at, recalling our commitment to build a sidewalk that connected the lower school parking lot to the village center as funded by 3 different sources. John?
I think I don't want my legacy here to be Captain ADA, which it does seem to be, but I will make it public, record. I am for sidewalks. I love sidewalks. I would love to have them. I'll go so far as to say I would put them down county line and everywhere, but that's not why I'm actually, you're finding me as vocal about this, because one thing I can say is that I'm malleable. Like, people can convince me one way or the other. I love public discourse. I love having debates. So I heard everybody and I said, okay, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to make a place where we could actually have a discussion about this. And I created a forum and spent tons of times doing it. And I didn't get engagement with it. And so I want engagement. I want to hear. I poured my soul into it. I actually, put all my topics up there. So what I would say is that, we had the opportunity to talk. The community had, I tried to get as much engagement as I could from the community, and all the feedback I got was positive. So just so you know that what is on the forum is very positive. All for it. I am for sidewalks. I will make a motion to do this when it's time. But I think that the only thing I would say is that we've had a lot of time to talk about it. A lot of intelligent people have worked on this for a long time, and it's time to vote. And it's time to get it done.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I heard Chris's description and it was pretty engineering like, and I want to So the original plan that was presented here to council was 5-foot walk with and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, a 5-foot wide bridge.
6 feet wide.
6 foot.
5-foot walk, 6-foot bridge, 3-foot walk would have a 4-foot bridge.
Right, and so 3-foot wide, 4-foot or 40 inch?
The bridge,
Yeah,
48 inches.
40-inch bridge. So that drawing, that ordering and the specifications all came about after the first meeting where we talked about the 6-foot thing. So I will tell you that looking at trying to minimize the impact to any landowners was the first thing on, and I think I can speak for everybody at the table here, that was everybody's first question was, does it have to be this big? Does it have to be this way? And so it's not like those drawings just came about in a vacuum that, oh, here's an option, here's an option, here's an option. It was done with the idea of trying to flesh out, is there a different way to do this? The east side option as well is the same thing. It is coming from people in the council who say, can we put it on the east side? And quite frankly, even if it costs a little more, maybe is it better to do it on the east side? Although I think you all have heard there's some complications with that make it not just incrementally more complicated, but significantly more complicated. There's been a lot of discussion about this, and I don't want anyone to think that I know that I have been invited by Sean, and I don't see Sean here to come walk Colvin Road and to get a feel for it. I assure you that I am familiar with Colvin Road. I've walked it a few 10,000 times. I went to school there. I went to camp there. I was a camp counselor there. My kids went to camp there. Now my oldest is a counselor. I used to walk from there down to the old Livery Tavern all the time. You know, what's the right answer in a situation like this is I know a lot of the people that are here are saying, we don't need it. Perhaps, but perhaps we do. You know, the village doesn't exist in a vacuum, and traffic is up. If you look at the passes on Mayfield Road, they continue to go up. You know, we're not doing a traffic study everywhere, but those traffic cameras allow somewhat of a traffic study just for Mayfield Road. You know, I'll tell people, you know, I live on Battles, and I can ask you, when do you think is the worst time of the year to live on Battles Road? Well, it's right now. And it's easy to know why. It's Patterson's. And I love Patterson's, but the traffic is 10x on our road. I know Dylan was on our road Saturday, and he stopped and said hi. I was cutting the grass, and he says, I was here 1 hour. I wrote 4 tickets already. And if they'd had 2 cars, they could have written tickets all day long. But I love Patterson's, and I wouldn't say, let's get rid of Patterson's. I mean, I spend a lot of money at Patterson's, and you have to sometimes we have to realize that we are not in a vacuum, and there's more traffic on all of our roads. I mean, I see someone here that lives at the bottom of Brigham, and I'm pretty sure they could say there's a lot of traffic at the bottom of Brigham. You used to not have to worry about, geez, do I have to brake before I get down the real steep part? Now, sometimes in the mornings, you have to say, I got to be paying attention because the cars might be all the way back there to Swiler's Drive. And so there may be something to the safety aspect of this. There's more people, they're not paying attention. This is a difficult decision, but it's one that, and I know we say, John, you're right, there's been a lot of time spent on it, but it deserves the time. I mean, if there was ever a horse to beat until it couldn't walk anymore, this is the one, because it's a pretty permanent change. And should we evaluate every option? Sure, we should. Have we? Maybe we have. But this is, if we were to make the change, I mean, it would be a hard one to go and undo later. And so I know that with all the hard work that's gone into it, we want to act quickly, and maybe we should, but we want to make sure that we get it right. And that's my concern, is we want to get it right and want to get the right answer.
Steve? Can I go next? I didn't know much about sidewalks when all this started, but I've listened carefully, tried to keep an open mind. What I've learned so far is that it seems to be mutual agreement amongst all of us. There's two danger spots. One danger spot is Colvin Road, because you can't get off it easily. The only option that addresses that is the interurban one. All the other options don't do anything about Colvin. The other danger spot seems to be traffic coming from the north, driving south into the village. When there's apparently a speed problem, and apparently there's a visibility problem. So I'm not like John, a lover of sidewalks, and I don't want them on County Line Road. But I'm very troubled by the base case recommendation, because it requires students to cross the road twice. And the first crossing is up there on the north end of River Road, where there's a visibility problem and a speed problem. I think it's absolutely insane, frankly, to make school kids cross the road twice to go from the school to a library that's on the same side of the road. So I'm leaning towards not supporting any sidewalk, but if we are going to have one, let's put it on the right side of the road where everybody is, so there's no crossings of the road that have to be had. And if anybody crosses to go to the community house, they'll do it downtown, where where there isn't a visibility problem, there isn't a speed problem.
David?
I think it's important that we differentiate within this project how much is safety driven and how much is being convenience driven. When I moved here with my wife to Chagrin River Road, we knew there was no sidewalk. We'd have loved one, but there wasn't one. So to adjust for that, we don't walk on Chagrin River Road. If we want to go for a walk, we go elsewhere in the village or to Northern Reservation to take a walk. So we knew that coming here, there were no sidewalks, and that must be true for 80% of our residents. I'm guessing, I don't know, but it's a large number, because bear in mind, sidewalks beyond the village center are very rare in this village. So let's be clear that we all would love the convenience of having sidewalks throughout the village. And before we spend a lot of money on convenience for this particular stretch, let's be careful that we're bearing in mind other options we have for sidewalks for elsewhere in the village. As far as the safety end is concerned, I'm only concerned about the children who are using it now. They're the only ones at risk. Kids using it, doing other things tomorrow, they're not at risk yet. So we could guide them to do it differently, or to get to school, get to the library in a different fashion, accompanied maybe. But my concern is that we haven't demonstrated, I haven't seen one number that demonstrates traffic patterns or pedestrian patterns today. I've seen a lot of arm waving and lots of kids and no kids and these kids and those kids. The council, the summer camp people clearly are happy that it's safe, otherwise they wouldn't operate here. You remember years ago, the summer camp was, the nature camp was operated and sponsored by the village. So we must have thought it was safe then. The current operator, we outsourced it to a commercial operator who pays us money to do it, I understand. He must be happy with it, otherwise he wouldn't take kids and walk them back and forth across the road. So I don't think that the case for on a safety basis alone has been made. I haven't seen one piece of data, not one, about the number of kids or the amount of traffic and the speed of traffic. One lady at the last council meeting said that she believed, this is Laurel Smith, she said she believed the whole problem was a speed problem. So the question is, if we were enforcing the speed limit, would there be a safety problem for existing users of the road? So I don't want to get confused between safety and convenience, that this approach has broadened it from safety to convenience. And I don't like that because it's not the only game in town. There are other options to do that. So I haven't seen the case for any dealing with this problem until we can prove that it's the speed that's the problem or not, and deal with that as a problem on its own. How many tickets do we issue in downtown? I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea whether the traffic counts have gone up or down because of the Mayfield cameras. Some people might have deviated through the village. I don't know. We have no measurement, no data. I have yet to be convinced that there's a case for any sidewalk. But if someone said, well, you have to believe there is a case without data, I would say that was a given. I would not vote against the West Side option. I would not vote for the West Side option. I'll say that again. I would want us to be much more thoughtful about the East Side option and talk to the people who have the residences there. So I'm right now, if I'm asked to vote on the West Side option, I will say no, emphatically.
One second.
Go ahead.
John?
Sorry, David, politely, I don't think I've ever disagreed with you more, ever. When you talk about the people who are doing the day camp, they don't shut down day camp because they have an inconvenience of a safety issue. They're gonna hopefully do more to make it safe, but they're not gonna come here to city council or to village council and say, oh my gosh, this is what we, I mean, these are kids running the day camp and that. So there's absolutely no way that they come into play in terms of saying, hey, we're gonna shut down our day camp because of a road. That's just absurd.
Well, they should if it's unsafe.
I don't know where you're even coming from on that. That's an absolutely insane statement. Like, let's not have day camp because we have a road that is unsafe over there. That's just.
You haven't shown me that it's unsafe. I have no data that says it's unsafe.
Well, I don't want to have the data of a crushed child to say it's unsafe.
I don't either. But let's understand what the problem is. One point on speed is that you can travel from north to south at 40 miles an hour until you cross Colvin or Glenwood. The speed. I'm sorry?
That's not true.
Who said that?
No,
Well, go and look where the 25-mile-an-hour sign is.
I sit right across the street. That's where my house,
I know you do.
and I happen have privy to see all the activity that goes on for 40 years. The 25-mile-an-hour sign is not at Cove.
Where is it?
It's north of Cove.
No, the sign isn't.
Well,
The warning sign, the warning sign is north of Colvin, certainly, but not the actual 25-mile-an-hour sign.
all right.
Sandra?
I would comment that over these, and it's only been 2 months now, really, since August, that we've been discussing this issue. And as you've all said, it's really an important and complex issue. And I think, my view of things has changed as more questions have come up and there have been more answers. And really to the mayor and to Chris, and to Dave Biggert, my appreciation for how you've responded to the questions and really attempted to give us the information to bring us to a conclusion. I mean, this is the third reading, and we need to come to a conclusion. I always supported the bridge on the west side. I was not excited about the sidewalk, especially from Colvin down to the school parking lot. But, you know, as more information came out, my opinion changed. When we get a safety study that says it's dangerous to walk down Colvin, then going forward, the school's not going to be able to have kids walk down Colvin. They put themselves at risk. So that means going down the steps to the parking lot and then down, you know, either across the grass or a sidewalk that's going to have a curb, which puts them in more safety and greater safety, you know, going down to the library or village hall. When there was discussion about the east side, boy, if we could do that, that's a perfect solution. Don't have to cross the street, right? Except if you're coming to the community house, and you could go down to the center of the village and you know, and cross the street there. But it seems impractical, including the fact, as I understand, you know, it's just look at the homeowner there, the Leverings. They're not going to have a front yard. They've got their sewage system in the front yard. I mean, we're talking 7 poles. As much as I would like to see it go there, I just think that's not gonna happen. When you talk about what's happened in the past, and you know, the same should go forward. When we moved here, there was no water in the village. It was all wells. Well, you know, we had a big brouhaha about that, but we've got water in the village, and I'm glad that we have water in the village. There were no cell phones when we moved here, and now, you know, everybody's got a cell phone, and they're on the phone wherever they go. It's more dangerous. There weren't Teslas that would go from 0 to 60 in about 3 seconds. Not that they're going to be doing that on this section of River Road, but the impetus for speed, and all of us with our second and third cars that are sports cars that we like to show off. And again, just how the world has changed. I don't know that I need more safety information or risk information to say that the world, you know, the world has changed, some for good, some for not. And I don't want to leave this place and tomorrow some child is hit or crushed or whatever. And we said no to this opportunity. So I hate to be dramatic, but I think this is really a critical point for us. And we have discussed it, and I think the discussion's been good. I've learned a lot. I've changed my mind. I think it's been collaborative, but it's time to make a decision.
Thank you. Craig or
Go ahead.
Lori?
Thanks, Sandra, for saying that, because I totally agree. My husband had a motorcycle and he did not want to part with it, but he finally agreed that the distracted driving, the trucks on the road and so on, the world has changed. Yeah. And one of the primary functions of government is the safety of its community. And the comprehensive plan, which you pointed out to me, Craig, recently, safety was a key priority. I just think we don't live in a bubble. And as a community, we need to take care of people's safety. I mean, that's what we need to do. It's really important. And it's hard because we are impacting some folks, you know, property and some of the look and feel. But at the end of the day, I think safety is really more important. I understand if it were my yard, I'd be concerned too. But I guess I would comfort myself that we were doing the right thing for the kids, for the school, and for anybody else who might be walking along there who might be at risk. So I agree. I think we need to do it.
Chris, do you have an idea of the right of way in relation to the property lines in terms of where the sidewalk will be?
Yeah, the right-of-way lines are all shown on the design drawings, and the sidewalk, the back of the sidewalk and much of the installation is about 10 feet inside the right of way, so into the right of way. There's a couple areas where it may get as little as 7, but again, trying to follow the path of least resistance and minimize impact on adjoining properties. We tried to keep the sidewalk off the right of way, so we weren't up into landscape any more than we needed to, and to, try to provide that space between what is people's front property line and the back of the sidewalk, trying to provide as much room as possible.
All right, thanks. I guess I took a little different look at this, and I heard from a lot of residents, some of which are here tonight, and from time to time, being village officials, were forced to make hard decisions and tough decisions that may upset some people and upset others. But I went through the comprehensive plan and looked at the comment from village residents and what they were looking for, particularly as it relates to the village center, which is, it's a U1A4 district, which where this sidewalk would be going is effectively the far northern end of the business district in the village that goes where the Ohio Bell building is at and where the school parking lot is. And effectively putting the sidewalk here links one end of the village all the way to the other. I've heard comments from residents on, the sidewalk doesn't really go anywhere. No one's going to use it. We have sidewalks on Old Mill that I drive by there 3 and 4 times a day. Sometimes I see a lot of people walking dogs or walking. Other times I go by and there's no one on them. We've got the polo field with no sidewalk access to the polo field. We've got another park that's just off of Old Mill that there's no access to. So inside of this village center, it is not outside of the realm of possibility for there to be sidewalks. I agree with, other comments. People listen, if we're going to put sidewalks on Gates Mills Boulevard or other places that are more rural in nature, I wouldn't be in favor of doing that. So I went to the comprehensive plan and got some feedback there. From a safety standpoint, just because something hasn't happened doesn't mean it can't or it won't. And I don't think we can sit here as a public body and discuss things, and God forbid if something does happen and we didn't do anything when we had the chance. So that's my thoughts on safety on Gates Mills Elementary. Enrollment is up. They don't have a library anymore. And the fact that the school district was willing to contribute a not insignificant amount of money to this project tells me that Laurel Revita, who's a principal there, and the school district is supportive of putting this in. I understand some homeowners are going to be upset by what council may or may not do today. But Sandra brought up a couple of things regarding water. I look at telephone poles. I've got a fire hydrant in my front yard that wasn't there 25 years ago. Telephone poles in people's property. There's homes on Chartley that have huge transformer boxes for electricity that, all things considered, they probably would have rather had that transformer box elsewhere. So we're left with pieces of the comprehensive plan, which asked us to link certain parts of the downtown village. We're left with safety. We're left with a school that has asked us. The library has contributed money. And as I look at all of this, I think this decision is better than where we were 3 months ago because of the feedback that we've gotten from residents. We were at a 5-foot sidewalk. We're now at a 3-foot sidewalk. The bridge was going to be bigger. All things considered, and I think really you only have one chance to get this right. You're looking at a 20, 30, 40-year investment in the village. It would be my preference for this to be on the east side, but I think the reality is to drive through from the north part of the village coming south and see huge retaining walls up against homes that effectively mar the landscape of what's there today, along with the removal of a significant number of telephone poles and things being moved around. I wish that was the best place, but I don't think ultimately that it's feasible, because it was just something on dollars. I would say we can go to the Improvement Society, or council can vote to add the additional funds to put this on the east side. But putting all that aside, the bridge and all the other things that make the east side a little bit more difficult. So that's where I am on all of this. And I think there's some, based on the numbers here, I think there's an opportunity to improve entry from the north part of the village coming south there with some plantings, some fencing and some other things that will make that entry coming in a little bit better than the gravel drive that is going into the Ohio Bell building and some of the other kind of runoff areas that are next to where the guardrails are.
Steve,
Thank you.
it sounds to me like you basically have two votes, one sidewalk or no sidewalk. And if the answer is sidewalk, then the second vote is east versus west.
No, I don't see that. I think there's one issue, which is the recommendation that's here, which is the 3-foot walk and a 4-foot bridge. But before we get there, let me just add, we are going to be able to save some money by the 3-foot, 4-foot solution versus the 5-foot, 6-foot solution. I've offered, and I've met with Jared in his yard. I've offered the same thing to Dr. Birnbaum 3 times in writing and on the phone. We want it to look and feel like the village. If there is money, if there's money, there will be money saved by the skinnier option. We can use that for plantings. We can use that for improving the fencing. We can use that to do other kinds of things to make that part of the village look a little bit more all put together, if you will. I have had approval from the school board that if the bushes currently in front of their sidewalk are a hindrance to safety, we can trim or remove the bushes. They want a safe entryway down there as well. So we have an opportunity to make that north side of the village, call it a little bit more prettier, make it all put together, and maybe have the same look that we do elsewhere. With that, let me ask Dr. Birnbaum and Jared if they have comments.
I'm stunned by what I'm hearing. Basically, okay, my name's Dr. James Birnbaum. I'm the one who's most affected by this project. My house is at Colvin and Chagrin River Road. I'm here because I'm trying to preserve the character and the history of our village. And I'm extremely concerned about the aesthetic. My home was built in 1914. It's a historic property. I've worked tirelessly to restore and maintain it. I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, not for profit, but to preserve the authenticity and beauty that defines Gates Mills. A concrete sidewalk would permanently damage the character and disrupt the natural landscape that makes our village special. This is why I don't understand why you moved to Gates Mills if you're all for sidewalks, concrete sidewalk. Why would you move to a rural area if you're for sidewalks? I met with several council members. I thought they were on my side. I believe they weighed the facts. This is really, to me, more about residents who simply want to walk their dog. And it's more about safety during the summer camp. And if you just add a crossing guard or a police presence, or even we'd have residents that would volunteer to make sure, and the kids aren't going to walk by themselves. They're always escorted. These are 5, 6-year-old, 10-year-old kids. They rarely are going to walk by themselves. So I'll always have somebody to walk with them. And I disagree. They've walked down Colvin for decades. It's direct, it's quiet, it's out of the path of traffic, and forcing them onto a route with no curbs through a parking lot on a busy road is less safe. I just don't understand the logic. I know you have the money, you want to spend it. That's what it comes down to.
That's not.
No.
The sidewalk is really a solution in search of a problem. It's not needed. It's not wanted by most residents, and it would forever change the look and feel of our village. We're stewards of something rare, a community with natural beauty and historic character. Once we pour concrete through it, that legacy is gone forever. I respectfully urge the council to preserve what makes Gates Mills unique.
Thank you. Jared, do you have any comments or Ariel?
Mayor Samborski, council members, good evening. Jared Capello, 1440 Chagrin River Road. Thank you, Mayor, and to those of you on council who walked the corridor along 1440 and saw the impacts of this project up close on my property. I'm asking you to vote no, or at least table this project. As it stands, it harms a family home in our village streetscape without solving a real problem from my perspective. On safety, as we've talked about in the past, in 50 years in this stretch of Chagrin River Road, there's not been a single pedestrian motorist incident. Most foot traffic is seasonal during June and July camp weeks. And for students walking from the school to the library, this project, as one of our council members pointed out earlier, could actually make them less safe by forcing 2 crossings on Chagrin River Road, where today they can walk without crossing at all. A design, and we've talked about this with those on council who walked the property with me and you, Mayor. The plan cuts through a 1 to 2 foot elevated landscape bed at 1440, removes part of the our front fence, and takes down 4 mature trees within the right of way. It also puts the roots of my healthy yard trees at risk. We talked about, being provided with 3-dimensional renderings and visuals of this particular section, which I haven't seen yet, to show how it would cut through that elevated bed. Would a retaining wall be required, or would further grading into the property be required? I don't see how you can make that cut without showing members of council what that would look like, and certainly the property owner that's impacted. We've also seen no Ohio EPA stormwater pollution prevention plan, to my knowledge. If there is one, I'd like to see it. And we see no erosion study explaining what happens to the soil and runoff after this particular cut. And once those trees and screening are gone, they're gone. There's no going back. To the residents within the community that support this project, when you chose to move here, there was no sidewalk or bridge along this stretch. By buying your home, you effectively chose the village without them. You may support this project because it has 0 impact on your property and offers a perceived increase in safety. I purchased my home precisely because there was no sidewalk or bridge across 1440. If there had been, I would not have bought here. I view this frontage along Chagrin River Road as an extension of the Metro Park's character that defines Gates Mills. Approving this would permanently change that character without weighing how those most directly impacted feel about a project that solves no demonstrated need. A better path is simple and targeted. Don't build a new bridge and sidewalk along this section of Chagrin River Road. You can extend the speed limit on this segment of Chagrin River Road. You mentioned you looked into it, Mayor, and that the Department of Transportation does have a process to do it. It might be lengthy and difficult, but there is a path to do that. You can also use crossing guards during June and July camp weeks, and to the extent that the school students want to pass from the school to the library, you can also plan to have crossing guards, as most schools in any residential community have. You can also add automated speed enforcement like we have in Mayfield Road. This may actually generate revenue for the village instead of depleting funds as ongoing sidewalk maintenance would require. We can also increase physical police presence in this section to deter dangerous driving. So to wrap up, for those of you who walked the path of the proposed sidewalk at 1440, you saw the trade-offs that we talked about. I request respectfully not to approve this plan that removes mature trees, cuts into a stable landscape berm without a clear engineering solution, and opens a private yard to the street when focus measures will keep people safer for less cost and less impact. If you won't vote no tonight, then I ask that you table this until the village engineer brings back 3 specific things to 1440. A 3-dimensional visual and sections that show the cut into that elevated bed and any retaining or slope solution, a complete stormwater prevention plan, and an erosion study that addresses runoff and soil stability after that cut. Thank you.
By the way, my property slopes right where you want to put the sidewalk. How are you going to deal with that?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I don't have something pre-written. I'm just here to speak from the heart. Obviously, I'm right next door, and this impacts basically my yard from start to finish. I will say that, one of we've seen some turnover in Gates Mills, right? We've seen more yard signs going up for sale. And I'm always promoting people to come live here. And reason why I say is even I who live in the village still feel a great amount of privacy, right? And I think a lot of the villagers can say the same. And this is taking away essentially our entire privacy. Outside of those couple of months where my son even attends the Gates Mills camp and walks by, we don't have a million people walking by our property. Not to mention the footbridge will look pretty much directly onto the deck that is over our river, which we rebuilt. That was the mayor's. And this is our main patch of grass. I know I mentioned that before, but this is our whole yard is going to be affected by this. Not to mention the fact that where the residential sidewalks are on Old Mill are all brick and look weathered. This is going to be a completely new project that will change the vision and, you know, what this looks like on our side and make it look more commercial rather than the beginning of the residential stretch. So had I known about this project when we bought the house 9 years ago, I would have put in some serious consideration about buying this property. You know, having this come up 8.5 years later, a couple months ago, is difficult for us to digest because it will change how we go moving forward, or resale of our house, et cetera. So I understand that many people may have already made their minds up or are still considering, but I just wanted you to hear from one of the owners directly impacted for my entire front yard with my 2 little kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I'll be quick. I'm Betsy. I live on Brigham. The one comment that I really want people to think about is when I was a kid here, I've lived here for 57 years. There were 2 teenage girls that were killed. They were killed because their neighbor backed their car up in the dark. It was either on Dorchester or, I can't remember, was it Dorchester or was it the Boulevard? I think it was Dorchester. One of the girls' last name was Yared. We didn't install sidewalks then. We didn't install lights. I'm not asking for any child to be harmed. Anybody would be crazy to think that I'm asking that. But what I am asking for is to maintain the integrity of this village.
Thank you. Ed?
My name's Edward Baker, go by Ned. I'm wearing what I usually wear when I walk. You've probably seen me, either avoided me, cursed me, or thanked me for being bright. I walk over 1,000 miles a year, a lot of it on Gates Mills roads. It's 1.3 miles from my house on the west side, up we're in the Norvale Charlie area, to the nearest sidewalk. I do use sidewalks when I can, but most of my walking I do in the village. I'll tell you, yeah, I was on Gates Mills Boulevard today. I did this twice to people who were ignoring me. And they had seen me as they got onto Gates Mills Boulevard from the circle. It's not like I'm hiding. So, you know, I have, my personal experience is it's not a matter of if someone's going to get hit by a car in the village of Gates Mills. It's only a matter of when. To those who say the sidewalk won't get used, all I have to say is no one walked in Gates Mills, on Gates Mills Boulevard and Pepper Pike. But drive by that section now, and at almost any time of daylight hours, you'll see 4 or 5, 6 people walking there. Build a sidewalk, they will come, they will use it. The only other thing I guess I would say is if there is a choice on width of sidewalk, my preference would be a 5-foot sidewalk. And the reason I say that is I do walk on sidewalks, and there are sections of Mayfield where residents have hedges and stuff to shelter their houses so they don't have to see it. Well, they don't do a very good job of maintaining the hedges, and the hedges overlap the sidewalk, and overlapping a 3-foot sidewalk means you don't have 3 feet of clearance. a 5-foot sidewalk gives you a little bit more clearance, or someone's going to have to get very aggressive on hedge trimming, which I've had a conversation separately on a different matter on landscape trimming. But if we're going to have narrow sidewalks, then we need to have a very aggressive maintenance program to make sure and maintain the full 3-foot width of the sidewalk. So I respectfully request that you guys consider putting in the sidewalk for the basis of safety. Thanks.
Thank you, Ed. Any other comments? Ed, yours, Doctor. 1 minute.
No, I just want to say that it's very clear when it doesn't affect your property that you guys are all eager to do it. Craig, you basically told me, there's no way I want this on Gates Mills Boulevard. And you're just pulling a thread. I'm just warning you now that you could hear from John, okay? He's going to try to persuade everybody here. You're going to see sidewalks everywhere. Is that why you guys live in Gates Mills? That's not why I moved here. I could live anywhere I want in this entire country. I chose Gates Mills because there's no sidewalks, because I'm in the metro parks, and you guys want to destroy it. And I know they're just not going to walk that way.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay.
Any other comments? Mr. Levering.
Something new for me. I'm Wayne Levering. I live at 1449 Chagrin River Road. It's right across the street. I've lived here 40 years, I think, my wife, my children and I. Without giving a background of myself, to introduce an element of safety there's no backing away from that once it's been confirmed that there could be a condition or a problem. And it's been eloquently stated, I think, by several members here of the importance of considering that. Comments have been made about sidewalks, and I understand that. I honestly do. How it could be upsetting. Comments have been made about an aesthetic. The best proposal that's been put forth, in my opinion, is the current one. It has a minimum impact aesthetically, and I got the concrete thing. As an aside, we've had sidewalks in Gates Mills for a while. Many of you may or may not, some of you may not know that on Epping, there's a 5-foot sidewalk on the Hunt Club side on Epping that goes from more or less the Southwick House, well, behind the Southwick House, up to about Beverly. It's covered. It's sandstone. I suspect if you years ago when I moved here in my walks, I was looking at why the trees were like that. And I started looking around, and there's glimpses of sandstone. There's possibly a sidewalk on the other side of Epping. So we've had those things here, and I got what you're saying about the materials. That's a scratch. I have a feeling that in the long run, that your feelings may be massaged away a little bit. But personally, I respect the time that's been put in developing this project or considering it and then developing it. And I have every confidence in the people that have been involved in coming to this design. As I have confidence in and respect for all of the I have a respect for the administrative facilities, the service department, and all the players. I trust them. I trust you. So I'll get back to one element again. When you enter, if there's an element to consider about safety, you can't indemnify it. There's not a reasonable argument not to ignore it, to ignore that prospect. And to your point, if it was a point, for many, many years, Hawken School wanted a light, a turn onto County Line, and ODOT consistently said there's no incidences of accidents. There's no statistical reason to do what they ultimately prevailed many years later. So that's my feeling. I understand all your concerns. I honestly do. I got it. If you knew me better, you could appreciate that, why I can tell you that. I honestly do appreciate the concerns that my neighbors have. And I understand the aesthetic aspects. Real quick, I developed several subdivisions. I have conservation easements around them all. Settlers Ridge was my first at the top of the hill. The buildings that you see, I had to do the approval of the buildings. There's a flat barn that nobody knows about, a bank barn up there that many would have torn down. The wash house that now sits part of Fazio's offices was on my subdivision, and that could not be torn down. Ultimately, because of my restrictions, we now have it in the village. So I get it.
All due respect, you saw my property, it's all stacked stone. No,
I watched it be built.
sandstone all the way around. Then Dick grabbed the driveway intentionally. Even the mayor made a comment how ridiculous it is. And that is
That's
in
limestone.
consideration of the authenticity of the area. Now you want to put a concrete block across.
No, I got it.
Jim, we'll look at, as I mentioned to Jared, we're concerned about the aesthetics as well.
Anyway,
We would be happy to sit with you if this passes and go through landscape ideas, as I was told Jared, we would do as well. You can put out your ideas, plantings, whatever, whatever would make it all, we want the whole thing to look good and look better. We're going to commit to that. And, you just have to have a little belief that we don't want it to look like we're just going to put down 5 feet of concrete. We've spent the last month and a half finding 3 foots, finding different fencing, finding different ways around things, moving poles. I think we certainly, this body here has demonstrated a commitment to the village to make sure it looks good when it's done. And we'll fulfill that commitment.
Well, just to add to your point, just looking at the numbers here, the original that we were looking at with the 5-foot sidewalk and the 6-foot bridge was $233,000. And now with the 3-foot sidewalk and the 4-foot bridge, it's $182,500, which you've committed to using some of that additional to make it more attractive and appealing. And I don't know about, there are other ways to color or imprint
Yeah, can we?
cement.
Can we do brick? I mean, we spent a lot of time.
So
on all
I don't
these
know about,
details
I don't know.
and asking a lot of questions and
We-
and
I-
coming
we-
back with answers, Mayor. Can we do brick? I do like that.
My property just drops.
I
have.
Lori, to answer your question, we'd be willing to take a look at the brick.
The brick
Not going to
brick.
commit to it. I don't know what the cost or the complication of what would do that, but we'd be willing to commit to
Walked.
looking at it.
We.
Thank you,
we
Wayne.
Hear about
Thanks.
how it looks and.
Okay, anybody else? I'll take a motion, John. I think you wanted to make one to Resolution 2025-36, a resolution accepting the bid and awarding a contract for the downtown sidewalk improvements and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion from council?
Why are we declaring an emergency?
We're not. It's a third reading.
Third reading.
said before, would mean that this resolution will go into effect immediately rather than waiting 30 days. And I think there's some
Bridge, what happened to?
thought, project-wise, to get it going before winter and to get the bridge, for example, ordered because it may take some time to get there. Am I correct, Chris?
You're correct, for the bridge, that's right.
The delivery time on the bridge is about 8 months, 6 to 8 months. And we do have a bid that is going to get stale here from the contractor. If we don't get started soon, we're going to have to rebid the project.
I would still prefer to vote on whether we have a sidewalk first. And if the answer is yes, then which sidewalk we
We've got
prefer.
Michael, we got a resolution that's on here that's been read 3 times. So we're going to go with the resolution that's on here. Roll call, please.
You know, Jared, I am most sympathetic to your situation. And I can tell you that, when I bought my house, it's across the street from the house I grew up in. It's property in the back that, the prior owner, who the estate in which I bought my house from, that they, sold to an architect in town that people might be familiar with. And he got designs to build a big house for a client of his on it. And I was terribly upset. And I went and I approached him and I said, look, there's got to be a way we can do this. I can get the land conservancy. Maybe we can do an easement. You can get a tax deduction. I can give you some money. We can get this worked out. Unfortunately, given the people that were building their house, financially, there was no way I was going to be able to compete with them. So it was a fait accompli. This house was getting built, and it's a big house. And as upset as I was at the time, I will tell you that it has turned out to be not as significant of an issue as I want it to be, and as I thought it would be. And if I could put the village back the way that I remember it when I was a kid, we'd have to start knocking down houses faster than you'd imagine. Wayne, Settlers Ridge, gone. Chestnut Run, gone.
Village Oak Trail.
River Oaks, gone. At the end of Battles, gone. Blackberry, gone. The houses on Battles, gone. Chartley, gone. And we knock everything down and we put it back exactly the way it was. But it's still a pretty darn good place. And we have to make the decisions that we think serve every constituent and not just a few constituents. And
Thank you, Scott. Roll call, please.
Eton.
This is the emergency vote, right?
No.
This is the vote. This is the motion.
No, it's not. This is for the downtown 2536. Awarding the contract for the downtown sidewalk improvements and declaring an emergency.
Voting?
Well, don't we do emergency first and then
No,
the
it's
issue?
third reading.
Third reading, so we don't.
Emergency has nothing to do with 3 readings.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's just entire.
okay.
In effect,
It
immediately.
becomes effective.
So we're voting on the motion.
Voting on resolution number 2025-36.
Thank you.
36.
36, 35.
Yeah, we switched.
36, 36.
We did 36. first.
Roll call, please.
Eton.
No.
Broom.
yes.
Deacon.
Yes.
Anesco.
Yes.
Press.
No.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
That's 5 yeses and 2 noes.
Thank you. Motion passed.
Yeah.
Next will be Resolution 2025-35. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a purchase agreement with Contact Engineered Solutions for a prefabricated bridge and declaring an emergency. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, John. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Craig. Any further discussion?
Does does it say, does it have the specifications in the resolution? No.
Roll call, please.
Eton,
No.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Vanesco,
Yes.
Press,
No, we're creating a situation that is less safe than we have today.
Steinbrink,
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passed.
And we can go on record that we will work with the two affected neighbors to make sure that we can be as responsible as possible with the aesthetics for their properties. Yeah, okay. Next item is
Ordinance 2025-42.
thank you. An ordinance to amend the annual appropriation ordinance 24-52 to increase certain appropriations and other expenditures for the village of Gates Mills for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2025. We have been running some unbudgeted expenses this year that have caused our appropriation number to be increased. We had about $25,000 of services that we had not budgeted for. And that requires us to increase our appropriation and council's approval. We spent an additional $2,800 on the village buildings study that was done by J.D. Compass. We spent roughly $5,000 on the Brigham Road at Chagrin River Road sound study. We spent $11,598 additional dollars with the Taft Stentinius firm with regard to the broadband contract, which you previously talked about. And there were several other items, an annual report, some broadband postcards, et cetera. So overall, while we had budgeted what we thought would be an increase from last year, we're going to be in excess of that. So we've also factored in the estimates that we need to finish the year out, which is about $27,000. We have an appropriation permitted of $14,000, so we're going to be short about $13,245. You would say, what's the $13,245 due to? And I just gave you the first three big items: J.D. Compass, Taft Stentinius, and the Brigham Road sound study. We're asking for an increase on top of that of about another $20,000 to $25,000 to do a study, structural study of the pedestrian bridge. You'll recall that we had previously engaged a firm to do that work. That firm has not come through with a report, despite the calls of Mr. Biggert 2 or 3 times, and myself 3 times. We've got nothing to show for their desire to do the work for us. It's unfortunate, but that's the fact. I called my neighbor, Michael Kelly, who owns and runs Kelly Steel Erectors, received from him a recommendation of R.D. Warner, checked them out with Chris, and they came out to take a look at the bridge and see if they could do that work. They did, and they've given us a proposal. I've not yet asked council for that money because we also used that proposal to ask for private funding of that study rather than using village funds. If we are not successful in getting that donation, then we would need to raise those dollars through the village general fund. So those amounts all get us to roughly about $45,000 of additional request. Again, not that we might spend all that money, but we are here in the middle of October and we have 2 months ahead of us. And I wanted you to know where we're at and ask for the appropriation, the additional appropriated dollars. Any questions on that? There was also, was it $1,000 for the fire funds?
Yeah, for benefits.
Technically, the benefits of the fire fund need to increase by $1,000 as well due to the actual calculation now being different than what we had when we made the estimate.
The Lake Conservancy is on here.
Oh, and apparently also, I'm sorry, I didn't have all this with me. The Land Conservancy is due an additional $10,000, and so this appropriation allows us to pay them the $10,000. Okay? Janet can answer any questions.
And the latter doesn't come out of the general fund.
I'm sorry?
The latter does not come out of the general fund.
No, it's,
Right.
it's on your resolution as an ordinance as coming out of land conservation.
Fine, as long as everybody understands that, sure.
Okay, can I have a motion
Motion to
to,
approve ordinance 2025-42.
Second.
apparently we have to suspend that first.
Oh, we have to suspend.
Yes.
Motion to suspend.
Thank you. Thank you, Laurie. All in favor? I'm sorry, roll call?
Ed,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Onesco.
Yes.
Press. Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner. Yes.
Thank you.
Motion to approve ordinance 2025-42.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Laurie. Any discussion? Roll call?
Eton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Onesco.
Yes.
Press. Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner. Yes.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is council discussion of other items. I have nothing at this point, but we'll turn it over to council to see if there are things that council wants to discuss. We did have a few to-dos. I think we covered all of them from last meeting, but we had some to-dos on the percentages of 10 or 35%. We got a little memo from Todd last night. I don't know if that's something we want to discuss now or just carry that forward to the November meeting. Hearing no desire to get into that now, let's do that at the November meeting. Okay, we'll carry that one forward. At this point, is there any business from the audience? Yes, sir.
My name is Tom Flynn, 7640 Brigham Road. And I'd like to discuss the issue or the practice or what may become a practice of letters being sent out, signed by, maybe even authored by current village government employees as well as former council members, similar to the letter that was sent out recently associated with Mr. Anton. And it basically enumerated a number of issues brought up, trying to encourage people to not vote for him. I think that, and then subsequently, Mr. Anton had a refute letter that addressed and refuted most of the issues on the letter. I think the practice that concerns me is that a letter like that is being sent out under authorship partially of the government as well as former council members. And I think it's inappropriate, and I hope you would agree with that sort of thing. In this particular case, the letter presumably had a number of errors in it, which were refuted in Mr. Anton's letter. But in practice, that sort of thing, I would urge you to consider disallowing or encouraging to not use that kind of a tactic.
Thank you.
Sir, just for the record, there was a response to Mr. Anton with documentation to support the original flyer that went out to residents.
Okay.
He received that today.
I did not.
I didn't.
You will.
I did not receive it today.
Okay, this is not village business, so we're going to move to the next piece of business.
Mayor,
Thank you for your
Mayor,
comment.
Mayor, may I disagree with you, please?
Let me finish, and then I'll give it to you, okay? So that we're clear, the village expenses, the village employees had nothing to do with any of those letters or the rebuttals or anything else that may or may not come. I'm separating village,
Signatures were on the letter.
I'm sorry?
Signatures of.
Those are
village
people.
Those are their signatures as individuals, not as officials. to the
I
village.
would add that everyone at this table, whether elected, whether they're village employees, staff, have a First Amendment right in their personal capacity to say whatever they want, as long as they don't accuse someone of a crime or cry fire in a crowded room. And so everyone needs to understand that. That's politics, and that's outside of the village government business. And so this discussion should be held otherwise.
Well, I disagree with.
Well, thank God the
Go on.
councilmen, my council colleagues, had the good sense when approached, and they were, not to sign the letter.
Okay, I'm going to take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
No, I want to, you said you'd let me talk.
Okay?
Thank you. Although I was the target of this, this letter, my candidacy is irrelevant. What this has done is to damage the credibility of government in this village, past and present. It has told some people, don't come into this game of being on the council or anything else, because you're going to have to expose yourself to this kind of nonsense. And the people we want to come onto council after us and after them, would you please listen while I'm talking?
This is not the venue, David.
This is.
This is not the venue.
Yeah.
It is not the venue.
Village reputation is a council.
It is not the venue.
Motion to adjourn.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Eton,
No.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Anesco,
Yes.
Press,
No.
Steinbrink,
Yes.
Turner.
Thank you for your attendance. The meeting is adjourned.
Yeah.